of dealing with anti-corruption issues. So there is a learning curve that we are going through. What is important is that the government supports the development of the institution so it can accelerate very quickly on that learning curve and provide the resources so that they can move very quickly on the learning curve, and that the government does not intervene or interfere. And that message goes to the opposition as well. Leave the anti-corruption and policing agencies to do their jobs. I know why you come to me with that foolishness, you know. You elect a prime minister, and is a prime minister run the country. It is time we learn to hold our leaders accountable for their actions and stop making excuses for them. Stop making excuses. Otherwise, go elect the people who really run in the country. And I don't want the right kind of stupid argument. Hold the people you elect accountable and stop making excuses for them.
Hello, welcome. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to everyone in television land. Happy Tuesday to our silent supporters. Happy Tuesday to everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for your continued support. If you're new to the channel, please show us some support by subscribing. Tonight's topic is SSL Hiroshima with your host, Baron and Marie Will Rattigan. Pastor Ricky and Melting Pot should be joining us shortly. Remember, guys, when you come in, please thumbs up the live and share us out if you can. Before I start, let me just go ahead and welcome those in the chat. But before I do that, I want to say our sincerest condolences to the family, friends, and community of Coco T, who died this morning. May his soul rest in peace. He's one of Jamaican's icons, so it's a great loss to the nation. So our condolences. All right, so Doris McCoy, Douglas, Yvonne Johnson, Track and Stream TV, Truck Life, Bloomy Coleman, Don Mel, Maxine Fraser, Winston Burton, Carla Ebanks, Patel Cruikshank, David Webster, Freedom, Sandra Watkins Bailey, Noreen McLean, Marcia Edwards, Montague James, One Indian, Love, The Truth, Rosalie Ricketts, Leighton Brown, Robert Angus, Jerry Sadler, Margaret Dice, Euro Bottom, Creations Reggae Girl or channel member, Bless Up, Merlin Mollioson, RCS Blue, Devon Fletcher, Barry Mice, Big Up Yourself, make we talk, Jeffrey Tavares, Lee Crawford, Iceland Fairweather, Sonia Ellis, Rennie Swaby, Issue, SSL, Candy Max, another of our channel members, Bless Up, Rosa, Sharon Bernard, Beverly Carroll. It's a long list. Bless up, big up everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm just going to hand over to Baron and I'll do an umbrella welcome because I have already lost control of the chat. So big up on yourself.
All right. Thank you for that, honey. As usual, wonderful precursor there. Right. Quite wonderful. I want to take this opportunity in terms of, giving thanks to all of our subscribers who tune in tonight and all of those in TV land, in the diaspora, and of course, locally speaking. We love you all, and we thanks for the energy that you have been fueling tonight. Really appreciate that. Now, before we move any further, of course, we have a distinguished panel of critical thinkers. We have Pastor Ricky, we have Will Rattigan, and of course, Melting Pot will be forwarding later with another person as well, Jamaics. Forgetting Jamaics' name, right? And of course, we are happy in terms of the milestone that we reach. But before we get into all of that, let us give the panelists the opportunity to meet and greet their people. I am beginning with Pastor Ricky. Go ahead, meet and greet.
Yes, good night, Lady Anne-Marie, the co-captain. God bless you. Good night again, Sir Byron. God bless you. Good night, Sir Ratigan. God bless you. Good night, everyone in the chat. Tonight is a historic moment in the history of social media, and I'm so grateful for this privilege and this opportunity to be able to be in this space on a historic night. I would like to ask everyone in the chat to keep your eyes on the chat. Anyone that come with any disturbances, negativity, just block them. Like, share tonight's thumbs up the live. When you thumbs up the live, it goes into the algorithms of YouTube and it gets scored and it can be ranked. So that way, when people log on to YouTube, that's one of the first thing pop up on their feed. But you have to thumbs it up, you have to like it, and then share it out. I encourage you tonight, Hiroshima, Tuesday night. Hiroshima was one of the two cities, including Nagasaki in Japan, that the United States, during World War II, used for the first time in war the atomic bomb in August of 1945, which devastated, evaporated, eliminated Japan. And so tonight, contents will be obliterated, eliminating, evaporating, and destroying the forces of evil that is out there trying to, bring down brand Jamaica. So we're grateful tonight to be in this space. So please like up the live, share it out, give it out, send it to at least 10 people, everyone in the chat. And remember to thumbs up, top up this, like the live so it can be in the algorithm. Thank you, Sir Byron.
Well, let us tell them tonight that we wrestle not only against flesh and blood, but principalities and powers. Simple means we have seen the level of evil in high and low places. But tonight, right, we will be treading through the shadows, through the valley of death, and definitely Ratigan, Pastor Ricky, Melting Pot. We are telling them we fear no evil. Bill Ratigan, your opportunity. Go ahead, meet and greet.
Yes, Lady Anne and His Majesty, Byron, Pastor Ricky, and everybody in the chat, everybody watching this broadcast. You're in for a treat tonight. You hear them say pressure bust pipe and the pipe bust. And a long time we are telling you, because what happened is that tonight you're going to hear some revelations that will reverberate for quite some time. And it just goes to show that people just get sick and tired of what's going on in Jamaica. And now people are coming forward and big up to Byron and his wife, because I'm sure I said big up to Anna and her husband, because because I'm out there beat the bush, and people are coming now and people are talk and people are saying, listen, just protect my identity, we just have some things and blah 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 blah. So I just want to say it's my distinct pleasure to be here tonight and to be a part of this historic event. So I hope you fasten the seatbelts enough, people, because it's going to be a wild ride. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that.
Can I just read a word of prayer real quick? I forgot. I'm
Sure.
so
Yes, blessings, because we are going to need it. We're going to definitely need some prayer tonight. So go ahead, Pastor.
Some people going to need prayer too. Amen.
Exactly.
Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you, mighty God, as we, your people, come together tonight to share information that is relevant to Jamaica's future. And we thank you for Sir Byron and his wife, Lady Anne-Marie, Sir Ratigan, and Melting Pot, Sir Melting Pot will be joining us. Thank you for everyone in the chat. We pray, mighty God, that you will open their hearts to receive, give them an ear to hear, that they may grasp the revelations and the understanding of the content, because content matter, and that when the content go forth, that they will use it to spread the word so we can eliminate, eradicate, uproot, and for once and for all, get rid of corruption out of government. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you for that, Pastor Richie.
Amen.
Now, let us begin our journey tonight. And what I want to take all the listeners, right, is to roll back the curtain as it relates to SSL and the situation as it relates to reconciliation. We need reconciliation. We need the truth. And we have some access as it relates to persons, right, who within the inside inner walls of SSL, right, wonderful whistleblowers who decided that enough is enough, right, and they are speaking out as it relates to justice. And we pretty much, right, have the utmost respect for those persons who came along, right, and speak. Some of the information that we have been hearing, we have long time of our suspicions, right, even though we were biting around the bread. We are now going to go into inner depths, where, of course, what we are going to reveal, right, obviously based on 100% facts. And we take our time in terms of verifying. And of course, we are going to, move in terms of protecting our source. So tonight, we will be calling, right, as it relates to when we are making reference to the source, simply means that person who definitely work within the inner walls of SSL and establishing the truth thereof. Now, let me just shape a background as it relates to, right, our former Prime Minister. And if he's listening tonight, right, I know our former Prime Minister, PJ Patterson, right, will be getting some answers. Many people will have full clarity of what is going to happen. So before we get into the interview, yes, we are going to go back to some clips, right? Refresh your memory. And for persons who tuning in for the first time, we are creating the background before we touch the interview. You are going to hear a portion of the interview that done by Rattigan and a portion of the interview that done by myself. So remember now, as I said, right, for persons who are listening, we are going to go through, right, roll back the curtains before we get into that. So people, just follow us, be patient with us. We want to shape a background for those who are not following. And the way we set the thing is that if you even in grade 5, you can follow. All right, let us begin as it relates to the former Prime Minister, PJ Patterson, has his concern and definitely want truth and reconciliation, and saying to, right, the DPP and others, the Jamaica Labour Party and Andrew Holness administration, that don't suppress the information. The people have a right to know what affected them. You have heard the clip in terms of when my wife started. Even the Prime Minister said, people, when they are affected by governance, they have the right to speak out. And tonight, we are going to definitely speak out. Without any further ado, let us hear what PJ Patterson, former Prime Minister, the Honorable PJ Patterson, said. PJ Patterson, question missing billions. Let us cruise in. All right, so wifey is getting that clip. PJ Patterson questioning missing billions, right, where that is concerned, right? So let us get into that while wifey is searching for that. Let us prepare that. Right, that is not it. So we are going to get into that. Just patient with us, because we have, you know, a lot of clips up there, so we have to make sure that we are getting the data. Tuesday introduction. Go on the Tuesday introduction. Here it is. Tuesday introduction. Okay. Let us go into that clip that you presented. We are not just abandon that clip. Sorry for the distortion right here. Just get into that clip. Right.
Patterson is demanding answers about the missing billions in the Stocks and Securities Limited SSL fraud case, casting doubt that former SSL employee Jeannette Calder acted alone in what has become one of the largest financial scandals in Jamaica's history. As Sandy Williams reports, Mr. Patterson raised the issue at the People's National Party's Outreach Commission's Region 3 seminar at Summit House in Kingston yesterday. At the PNP's Outreach Commission's Region 3 seminar, dubbed Let's Get the Record Straight, Least We Forget, former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson made it clear that he does not indulge in rumor, speculation, or gossip. Instead, he insisted on dealing with facts, raising serious questions about the scale of the fraud at Stocks and Securities Limited SSL and who else might have been involved.
I know there is a legal presumption of innocence to which all accused are entitled. If anyone who thinks that whatever Ms. Panton is accused of doing, if in fact she did anything could be done by her alone, must still believe that the world is flat.
Mr. Patterson emphasized that this was not a partisan issue, but a matter of national significance that affects the integrity.
Take that away. Let me warn Jamaica, as it relates to what former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson stated, that if anyone believed that Jeannette Calder would have acted alone, if she has done anything at all, has to believe that the world is flat. P.J. Patterson is 110% correct. You are going to see the process of the interview that done by Rattigan and myself as it relates to the inner walls, right, coming out of SSL, right, will establish parallelity with P.J. Patterson, saying that under no circumstances that could have taken place. Interesting time ahead. We are going to reveal some stuff tonight that is going to shock us. Now, let us juggling as it relates to what Mark Golden has to say as it relates to good governance. So we are taking our time getting right into that the Mark Golden clip. All right. Now, people, you know what? We are just building up the smoke before we get to the fire.
Mr. Speaker, change at the national level must focus on good governance. In this modern era of pervasive information sharing and communications, good governance is increasingly essential to maintain the people's trust and confidence in our democracy. Citizens are demanding that their leaders uphold the highest standards of accountability, transparency, and trustworthiness. All the measures that I've outlined for implementation will only be possible if we change the approach to governance that now exists. I'll leave you with the ways, means, quality, and spirit of the change in governance that we commit to. And good governance isn't just a set of ideals. It is the foundation upon which an equitable and just society can be built. The People's National Party has always been committed to fulfilling these ideals, and we will translate these principles into tangible actions that uplift and empower every member of our society. Mr. Speaker, we are in an increasingly low trust environment. Since the JLP government came to office in 2016, no less than 8 ministers have been forced to resign or have been otherwise sanctioned for a range of serious breaches, and Jamaica continues to rank poorly on international corruption indices. The move in 2020 the chairmanship of most parliamentary committees from the opposition has weakened that mechanism of holding government to account. The maneuvers to delay the tabling of reports from the Auditor General and the Integrity Commission remains a contentious matter, especially since the legal opinion on which this delay is purportedly based has been withheld from parliamentarians and the wider public. When the former speaker was forced to resign as a result of an Integrity Commission investigation, the move to replace her with the wife of the Prime Minister, so that the head of Parliament is now the spouse of the head of government, really does not sit well with the tradition that the Speaker must act independently of the government of the day. The Speaker is intended to be independent and must act independently of the government today. That is the tradition.
Take it away. All right. We are juggling that tonight, right? And to show 100% that Margolian had spoken about good governance. And he's 100% correct. Because the current government, right, is a kleptocratic government. Tonight, we have no hesitation in saying that in terms of the things that we are going to reveal. Having said this, I am going to highlight an overview of our key findings, right, tonight. Now, let me say this to the Jamaican people, without no hesitation, that the Jamaica Labour Party, along with business mogul Michael Leachin, Fancy Scheme agents Hugh Croskery along with his son Mark Croskery, created a pretext shaped by FSC and JSE in aiding SSL to be on the Jamaica Stock Exchange to conduct minuscule trading. This trickery of trading on the Jamaica Stock Exchange were orchestrated by the government of Jamaica and other interest groups mentioned above to deceive over 200 investors out of their capital injection. While the penalties benefited from the cruel looting, please follow us along to see the tangle web of corruption and 100% pure evil. So then, I will, of course, before we dig deeper, allow Jamaica to meet and greet his people. Bless up, Jamaica. Welcome to the panel. Go ahead, meet and greet.
Greetings and blessings, man, to family members. It's a great pleasure to be here. And we are about a night where we can look at it and say, it's a starting of the process, a change. And I really believe it. And I want Jamaicans to constantly believe that we deserve good governance. And I'm here just to make my voice be added because it's a time for a change. And I believe with everybody on this panel, from Pastor Ricky, blessings to you.
Yeah, my respect.
Uncle Rattigan, blessings to you. And Auntie Ann, blessings to you. Blessings to you, Uncle Byron, as well. And the family. We're here to learn and to observe. Blessings.
And Jamaica, you know that when we send for you, you know, say a serious business. And you know, say the people in business when we send for you. All right? All right, Jamaica. It's always a pleasure to have you here on panel. You see, Ratty knows say for your stomach kick up tonight. Ratty can't stop laughing. All right. Now, having said that, right, let us, do juggling before we get there. Right, the recent revelation regarding Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Let us get into that. All right, the people know how mystic sensation work. Know that we like create background and chronological.
Have cast a shadow over his leadership, with the Integrity Commission IC report raising critical questions about his company's tax filings, significant monetary transfers, and overall transparency. The investigation, which uncovered 28 additional bank accounts and flagged discrepancies in the movement of over $400 million across Holness's personal companies, points to potential breaches of financial regulations. One of the key issues raised in the IC's report was the filing of nil tax returns by companies connected to Holness, despite some of them reportedly engaging in business activities. The case of Green Emerald giving a $20 million loan to Positive Media Limited, while filing 0 tax returns, exemplifies this discrepancy. While the IC acknowledged that companies can provide loans even when operating at a loss, it emphasized that the larger issue lies in the lack of disclosed income and expenses, which raises red flags regarding transparency and adherence to tax laws. Furthermore, the IC highlighted the movement of substantial sums between Holness-linked entities, such as the transfer of $72 million from Positive Media Limited to Imperium Limited. Such transactions have raised suspicions about whether these companies have been operating with undeclared income or expenses. The Commission's decision to refer Holness's financial dealings to the Financial Investigations Division, FED, signals that there may be deeper layers of undisclosed activity. Holness has publicly defended himself, insisting that his success is the result of hard work and that no illicit activity has been proven. He emphasized that 3,600 transactions and 28 bank accounts were scrutinized without any evidence of illicit enrichment. However, the IC report suggests that the complexity of Holness's financial affairs has hindered a full conclusion of the investigation, especially given his refusal to provide certain critical information. The Prime Minister's legal team is now preparing to pursue a judicial review of the IC's decision to refer his case to the FID. They are seeking to leverage Section 6(3)(a).
Take that away. Now, the Prime Minister, right, will not give room, right, to the IC as it relates to make available, right, as it relates to the question that the IC asked the Prime Minister, right, how did you come by your wealth? The Prime Minister create all sort of facade, right, all sort of shenanigans. But tonight we're going to know. Now we realize also that the NCB Bank, right, as it relates to laundering money, illicit enrichment, through that entity, we're going to understand the connection as it relates to Michael Leachin, right, where that concern. So we're juggling tonight. Now, let us get into the sequence of the event tonight. Let us lift up this clip. Prime Minister, how did you get so rich? Right? We're going to break it down.
Did I write something beside it?
Okay. Prime Minister, how did you get so rich? Jamaica want to know, the world want to know. Transparency and balance is good for us.
How did you get so rich?
Anybody listening that has information about what they think is a financial crime can refer a matter to the FID. You can't instruct them, but you can refer. It is for the FID to look at what has been brought before them, determine if this rises to the threshold of something they will investigate, and we have to trust them. They've been working for us. There's never been any concern about political interference. And I just want to say any report coming from the FID doesn't go to the Minister of Finance. It goes straight to the DPP. So since that is looking like the next likely step, I think Jamaicans should have confidence. And the Prime Minister, if I were advising Mr. Holness, I would say, Mr. Holness, you know everything is all right. You have said that. So allow the FID to go in and clear you. Let them do what you have created them to do.
Or better yet, just answer the questions and let the people know where your wealth come from. You don't need all of that.
Well, he says he has. Well, so let the FID corroborate.
Well, as we speak, right, that is the issue that we have seen the Prime Minister, instead of participating with the Integrity Commission, the Prime Minister move aggressively to eliminate the Corruption Act that deals with illicit enrichment. And we ask what the Prime Minister is hiding, why the Prime Minister doesn't want to take away himself and let the investigation flow freely. Tonight, we are going to find out. Now, let me say in terms of this clip that I'm going to present, and I want the entire world to listen. Usain Bolt money was missing 2012. No two way about that. Evidence, concrete evidence, as it relates to the time when Bolt money was missing, was taken. Now we have the information as it relates to who personally handles Bolt account. We are going to surprise many people. Personally, who handled Bolt account. We have that information tonight. So let us prove as it relates to 2012. Bang around tonight. Let me remind the people, 2011, the Prime Minister had gotten money out of SSL to help purchase the land that was stated by the Prime Minister, lawyer Patrick Bailey. We have that evidence. That's public information number 1. In 2012, Bolt puts his money into SSL. In 2011, the Prime Minister used 4 transactions to pay for the land. Simple means and simple what that is telling you, the Prime Minister was strapped for cash. So 2012, Bolt put his money into SSL and it was taken out. Now in 2012, the Prime Minister began to build his big mansion and take 4 years to complete a mansion that worth over 200 million Jamaican dollars. Tonight, we are going to open the curtains and look in. Now, let us first prove evidence number 1 that Bolt money had missing in 2012. No other year, 2012. Let us prove that. Without any delay, let us lift up St. Vincent Times. Bring it down to the people, bring it down to the wire. Because you know how we work, right, with chronological sequence for people to follow. Now evidence, here it is. Usain Bolt money moved out of SSL as soon as it went in. New report, between 2012 and 2017, Jamaican track and field legend Usain Bolt put US $6.5 million in the investment business Stocks and Security Limited. But the money was moved out nearly immediately without his knowledge. According to a Jamaica Observer investigation, Bolt invested $6.2 million in SSL in 2012 through a limited liability company called Wedge, which is thought to be an amalgamation of his parents' first name, Leslie and Jennifer Bolt. In 2017, another $900,000 was put to Bolt's account. However, beginning in 2012, $5.8 million was removed from his account via checks and cash. Take that away, honey. Mighty God. Now, let us hear what the Prime Minister has to say. Because after so many years passed, the Prime Minister finally chose to come out. But when we finish with him tonight, it's going to be a different thing. Now, let us hear what the Prime Minister has to say in terms of all of the pangarang, right? All of the misappropriation and all of that. And let me shape the narrative. Let me shape the narrative before I go any further. Let me just let the people understand. The Jamaica Labour Party administration work with the mogul work with Hugh Croskery, work with Mark Croskery to have SSL on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, even though they know very well that SSL has multiple breaches, breaching FSC regulations. But yet in a reverse takeover, we are going to learn later, C2W, FSC and JSC work knowing the corruption, knowing, so that SSL use a pretext as SSL doing trading on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Let us admit that. SSL was doing, yes, some trading as a pretext to lower in investors. But we are going to find out that all the investors lower in, right, were looted. And we are going to see who benefited. All that. We are going to see who are the beneficiaries of SSL tonight. What is in the camp? Now, let us move on and hear what Andrew Warnes has to say about all of this, right? Anything I say must be unassailable. Prime Minister Andrew Warnes. Well, we're going to see what is going to be unassailable tonight. We are going to see what is going to be unassailable tonight, as according to the Prime Minister. Now, this is what the Prime Minister responded to January 25, 2023. Anything I say must be unassailable. Prime Minister Andrew Warnes. Just want to remind the people in terms of Andrew Warnes' defense. With allegations of a multi-million-dollar fraud engulfing local private investment firms, Stock and Security Limited, Prime Minister Andrew Warnes has established the government will lead with transparency in all matters concerning the investigation. Just look what the Prime Minister said here. Now let me tell Jamaica this. The Prime Minister is a political canartist. The Prime Minister is a deceiver. The Prime Minister is a liar from the pit of hell. Andrew Warnes must not be believed as it relates to anything out of his mouth. Tonight we are going to prove it. Noting the government's sensitivity to the international dimension surrounding the case, the Prime Minister said, I am not aware of any systemic issues in the financial system that could cause contagion. But if actors in the sector or the common person consumes information that is incorrect, false, or misleading, it could impact the way in which economic actors make their financial decisions and create a crisis that does not need to exist. Now, when you hear the Prime Minister speaking in that regard, and when we learn of the government involvement in SSL, we see tonight that the Prime Minister has no regards for truthfulness. The Prime Minister lacks the ability of speaking the truth. Take that away. It's a very serious moral issue with this Prime Minister. The Prime Minister has lost his moral compass. We are going to learn tonight and we are going to establish the truth. Now, let us show, as it relates to the Prime Minister administration who claim that they want to go to the length and breadth in establishing the truth. And we have seen the Minister of Finance, Nigel Clark, who said to us that the FBI will be investigating and the FBI will be leaving no stone unturned. Nigel Clark stood in the parliament. and lied to the Jamaican people. Outrightly lied to the Jamaican people. What I'm going to present tonight is going to tell people that you need to walk 10 miles away from the Jamaica Labour Party. Their history of corruption. Blessing, melting pot.
Well, my brother.
All right.
Bless up.
All right. I'm going to give you an opportunity to meet and greet, but let me just finish this. As it relates to the level of corruption that the Jamaica Labour Party administration involved in. Now we are going to prove that in spite of what you see the Jamaica Labour Party administration is doing, the changing of the constitution, right, is to protect themselves as a result of what they had done with SSL. All of what the Prime Minister is doing, everything, the DPP return and the fighting of the DPP maintain. My Jamaican people, it's because of SSL. What we are going to learn tonight is amazing. I knew it from day one before we even penetrate the inner walls of SSL. Based on the patterns, the red flags that were there and how we were analyzing them. But tonight, we are going to confirm what we had long suspected, what we had long speaking about. Now, before I go, melting pot, quickly, meet and greet. Because your things just come in.
Yeah. I just want to say greetings to you all out there, social media land. Yeah, greetings to everyone on the panel tonight. Yeah, big up Brother Byron, Anne-Marie, Technical Director, Saratigan, Pastor Ricky, and Jamites. Enough respect. Yeah, man, tonight, acting up people, because tonight are the night when everything, you know, story come to bum. Now I say nothing more. So just big up on yourself and stay tuned.
Blessing.
Yeah, man.
So we are going to show the document to all Jamaica, locally and in the diaspora, how Nigel Clark had lied to the Jamaican people relating to SSL. Every statement as it relates to the consolidated report, as it relates to Crawl report, how Nigel Clark took the Crawl report and timed it, giving it a Jamaica Labour Party narrative to save those who involved. My Jamaican people, we know for sure, without any doubt, that the Jamaica Labour Party administration will never ever reveal the Crawl report. Now, we know the reason as to why the Crawl report cannot be revealed. And we are going to show it tonight. Why the Crawl report, the Jamaica Labour Party will not reveal it. But Andrew Holness and Nigel Clark coined a report. The Crawl investigators had investigated and found serious malpractices, my Jamaican people. Very serious malpractices, including Jamaica Labour Party members of parliament involvement in SSL. Not only that the Crawl investigators had proven certain things, they recommended charges for these people. What the Jamaica Labour Party administration had done is to strategize as it relates to utilize time in allowing the main culprit to flee the island of Jamaica, to allow you cross-carry to move out of the boundaries of Jamaica. The Jamaica Labour Party administration had timely execute that mission to save the embarrassment from the Jamaica Labour Party. Tonight, they are not going to be saved. We are not saving the embarrassment. we talk about principalities and powers, wickedness, evil in high and low places. We are going to proceed. Now let us look on the lies that Nigel Clark told to the Jamaican people. Let us go to the consolidated link. Now, lift up the consolidated link. And after the consolidated link, my people, we are going to go into the investigation, the interview with the inner walls of SSL. Stand by. Now, here it is, my Jamaican people. Nigel Clark here, the fraud at Stocks and Security Limited is of public interest. The Financial Investigation Division has reported that the fraudulent schemes are now estimated to have affected over 200 accounts, and the extent of the fraud exceeds 3 billion. It is over 4.5 billion, Nigel Clark. Now, SSL was a boutique wealth management firm with assets that represented approximately 0.6% of consolidated financial sector assets. At the time the fraud came to public attention, SSL had custody of approximately 30 billion of client assets as a part of SSL's off-balance sheet portfolio. Even this information that Nigel Clark said here is an obvious lie. Now, this is the lie that Nigel Clark doubling to as it relates to transfers of local security. Listen to the lie, Jamaican people. Listen how heartless Nigel Clark is. 2.2 transfer of local securities. Transfers began in September, and as at April 16, 2024, 1,000, bulletin point number 1, 1,230 clients' accounts totaling approximately 15.37 billion of local equity and fixed income securities were transferred to accounts specified by these clients. Blatant lie, vicious lie. Vicious lie, Nigel Clark and Andrew Holness cooked up right here. Bulletin point number 2, Jamaican dollar cash of approximately 665 million of 338 clients has been paid over to these clients. Another vicious lie. Therefore, a total of 16.35 billion, or approximately 70% of Jamaican dollar denominated assets in SSL off-balance sheet portfolio have now been transferred to clients. When we talk about wickedness, when we talk about evil, when we talk about lie, when we talk about the author of confusion, Satan is the author of confusion. Nigel Clark, Andrew Holness is 100% satanic. Jamaican dollar denominated assets including Jamaican equity and fixed income securities and Jamaican dollar cash. For the remaining Jamaican dollar securities totaling 7.6 billion in value, the temporary manager is pursuing an agreement with a trust company for the en bloc transfer of these remaining Jamaican dollars assets, which will be held by the trust company in custody of for clients. More details will be provided once this agreement is finalized. Another devious lie. But let us jump all across and get down to 4.0 SSL investigation. This is another lie coming from the pit of the dragon, the mouth of the dragon. As I mentioned in my opening budget presentation in March 2023 and again in March 2024, with respect to the investigation into SSL, the policy position of the government is that we will make available whatever resources are required to ensure a thorough and fair, complete and independent investigation. We will also leave no stone unturned, follow the evidence wherever it may lead, and seek international assistance. What Andrew Holness administration had done, had tampered with the SSL crime scene, had removed 5 laptops, shut down, suppressed the investigation, contaminated with the scene, allow SSL to operate after SSL is the nature of a crime scene. This is what Nigel Clark is saying. That he will leave no stone unturned, follow the evidence wherever it may lead, and seek international assistance. Now, Nigel Clark, if you were following the evidence, you'd have now released all the Jamaica Labour Party accounts in SSL We are going to touch that tonight. 9 o'clock, if you were following the evidence wherever it may lead, you would have established all the Jamaica Labour Party accounts in SSL. This policy has been implemented as previous updated Crawl Associate UK Limited, a renowned international investigation firm, was engaged to undertake an independent forensic audit to understand the facts relating to the fraud perpetrated at Stocks and Security Limited over the period of 2010 to 2023. The company was selected because it did not have any connection in Jamaica and because its vast experience given the complexity of the matter, the volume of transactions, the number of accounts held by clients, and the number of bank accounts held by SSL network of companies. The CRAW team, working with the support of government agencies, including the Fed and FSC, utilized technology, data analytics, and forensic expertise to produce what he called a comprehensive and independent report of its findings in November 2023. The CRAW report has confirmed that the suspected fraudulent activity and mismanagement at SSL and its related parties were much broader than initially understood. With the benefit of this report, their own investigations, and through collaboration with other law enforcement agencies, the Fed has publicly reported that a file was submitted to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions for the consideration of criminal charges against individuals linked to the SSL network of companies and are the companies pursuant to the Proceed of Crime Act, Larceny Act, and financial sector legislations. The Jamaica Labour Party administration takes away, honey. Sit on this report. And the persons who are recommended to be charged, Jamaica today has no knowledge of none of the 5 are those who mentioned to be charged as it relates to what JLP administration is quite known for. Holding and suppress the FinSAC report, holding and suppress the CRAW report. This is what the Jamaica Labour Party has been known for. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what we are long standing for and anticipating, we are going to get into the walls, the inner walls of SSL, where Rattigan and myself will be speaking to the source. We want all persons to listen keenly on the questions asked and how the source responded to the questions asked. Without any delay, let us get into that interview.
All right. Yes, we are. It's a pleasure having you on. We have been in contact with a lot of people concerning this SSL saga, and we have received some pretty interesting information. And we were told that you might be a person with some information to assist us in trying to figure out what actually happened, because we don't believe that we're getting the full story. And we're just piecing stories together. And hopefully when we're finished interviewing all of the people that have come to us willingly or have been recommended to us, that we will have a better picture than what we are, than what's been painted by a lot of people and institutions, including the government. So to be clear, you're just one person of several persons that we are talking to try and find out what actually happened. So would you be kind enough to just tell us, because we don't know, just kind of tell us how, how did you obtain information regarding SSL, and what information do you have?
Well, I worked there for a few years, and during that time, there were control weaknesses that FSC was monitoring and wanted to be fixed. So we had a junior compliance officer working there at the time. But basically, he was just doing account opening inspections and such like. So nothing in detail, nothing serious. So I guess when the FSC came in, they requested that a more senior person come into the picture. When that person came in, we could see that there were changes in control and how things are processed. We never used to have anti-money laundering training before that person came in, and then that started as well. And some other procedural changes took place. For one, I know that some of the customer statements were in the names of wealth advisors. And that is something that was changed, and they all now were in the names of the customers, and our statements were being dispatched through the operations department. So that was a control that was implemented. Yeah, so that's it basically. What else is it that you want to know?
So are you saying that they never really had control mechanisms in place or oversight mechanisms in place before a certain time period? Like they didn't start out with this, because we're of the impression that they were being monitored, or at least there was some oversight done by the FSC. And it sounds to us as if you're saying that they really didn't have those control mechanisms in place. So are you saying, well, first of all, how can you run a business like that without control mechanisms? And the second thing is, are you saying that the FSC did not do its due diligence, did not do what it was required to do, a proper job to ensure that these mechanisms were in place and they were functioning?
Well, I would say that, because based on what came out in the news, if they were monitoring and doing the proper oversight that they should have been doing, a lot of these things that came out with customer funds being missing and all of that wouldn't have happened if the reporting structure was there as well, for them to see any changes in reporting figures or things like that, then that would be a trigger. But I'm not so clear as to how they came into the picture in the first place. What was it that caused them to come in? Was it that somebody made a report? But I saw them after it came out in the news, and they came back to review whether the weaknesses that were identified were corrected. Yeah, I noticed them around the place during that time, meeting with the person who was in compliance at the time.
And based on what you have heard or your first-hand knowledge, just want to get your opinion on how was SSL run? Was it a smooth, well-oiled, functioning machine, or was it something that was like, I would say, a patty shop where it didn't have proper procedures, and people were doing things that under normal circumstances would seem prohibited, almost criminal, to be honest with you. How would you describe the functioning of SSL?
Well, what I observed was there was a close link between the owners, that would be the CEO and the chairman. The JLP, I think, they were in power for during that time, and there was a close link between them. And I overheard a conversation actually regarding a JLP account and some misappropriation of funds from that account by the person who should be the treasurer for that party.
And when you say misappropriation of funds committed by a person who was the treasurer of the party, two things. One is, to be sure, you're saying that the Jamaica Labour Party had an account at SSL. Is that so?
Yeah, there are more accounts. There are more than one account there.
The person was the treasurer at the time. That person, there was how do you describe it? How did you describe it? I want to use your words. How did you describe it?
Well, what I observed and heard, in a conversation, was that funds were leaving the account to go overseas to pay for tuition fees or university fees.
And let me just ask you this question so that people listening to this broadcast, they can understand, because they don't know who you are. But based on what you're saying you have first and second and maybe third hand knowledge of what's going on. Now, regarding this
credible knowledge.
You have credible knowledge. I stand corrected. So are you saying then that the money that came out of the JLP account or accounts, it went for purposes other than party business?
Right.
And you're saying that it went to, did you say a school, or what did you say?
It was sent to a university, I believe. A university or a college.
To do what? To pay
tuition fees.
Tuition. Okay, this is interesting. So it's not a donation then to the university to say, we're donating to a worthy cause initiated by the university.
The recipient had the same surname. The treasurer.
Okay. And was anything ever done to that account? Did anybody ever say anything to those people involved, or was it allowed to just continue?
Well, I would suppose something would have been said, because no transfer is done without the CEO's knowledge. And I heard that after that conversation was held, there was no more funds being taken out of the account.
No, you're saying that, was it a wire transfer? Was it a withdrawal of cash, and then you don't know how the cash, you just heard this, or was it a what? Let me ask you the question.
It was a wire transfer. It was a wire transfer.
So there is a record. So in case somebody should challenge what you're saying, somebody could subpoena the bank records, and assuming it's a wire, but based on what you're saying, it's a wire transfer, then that record would be there to show that money went from that account to that university for a specific person.
Yeah, that should be there. That should be there.
Okay. Can you tell us anything more about any account that you would have gotten through credible sources or information that you consider credible?
Well, in the news, the AdMatch account was very much making the rounds, and I am aware that AdMatch is an IBC account in St. Lucia, and SSL does those type of transactions, and that person, I believe, was there to have that done. So SSL would have been the one. SSL would have been the one to open, because I say they were very close to those persons.
Any other account that you can think of? Let me ask you about, you know what, I'll tell you one account I'm thinking of. Usain Bolt. What can you tell us about his account at SSL?
Well, I heard through the grapevine that because there was a big buzz in the office. So I was told that Usain Bolt account is here, Usain has opened an account with us, and it was a big excitement at the time.
And do you know if that information was used to entice other people to invest money with SSL?
Well, based on the report from the lady, the old lady, she said that's what she was told to, that he has an account there. But what I was also told was that the account was not in his name.
You mean it's given?
Company's name. Right.
It was in his company's name.
Okay. To the best of your knowledge, who was in charge of that? Who was in charge of that? Who was in charge of the IPO?
Those type of deals. Mark Crosby would be the front person for those types of deals.
Okay. And who you mentioned a company in Barbados that picked up that purchased the shares. Who to the best of your knowledge was behind that company?
I think that company is owned by Beachin.
By whom?
Beachin.
Which is that the first name?
He owns right. He's the owner. He owns MCB. Yes, Michael Beachin.
So you're saying that Mr. Leachin, his company in Barbados, purchased the shares from this IPO that was spearheaded by SSL, correct?
Right. That's what.
And you're saying it was a big flop because they put it out to the public and it was a big flop, and then Mr. Leachin, he purchased the remaining shares that weren't sold.
And then it was a
success. Have you heard anything more from while you were at FSL? Did you hear anything, or since? Have you heard anything more about that company?
Oh no.
You spoke about GLP accounts, right? That you as it relates to your observation, right? Into SSL. Who were the person or persons monitoring these GLP accounts?
But I guess Mark Crosby would have, eyesight vision of these accounts, because these were accounts held by people who he's very close to. So I guess he would have oversight of those accounts.
Okay. Let me speak about, based on certain information that we are getting. Do you know of Darrell Vaz who has account in SSL?
Yes, he had personal accounts there too.
Okay. And you speak of certain transfers that went to him?
Went not to him, but to a person related to him.
And who is that person?
I believe it is his daughter.
Okay, so transfers were done to benefit his daughter. That is what you're saying.
Yeah, so I understand, yeah.
Okay. Now, I want you to speak as it relates to, you know, the authorization of transfers, right? Before a transfer can be done, how many signatures would require to complete that transfer?
I'm not involved in the accounting aspect, but usually 2 persons would be required to approve a transfer.
Okay, and to the best of your knowledge, who would be those 2 signatories?
Well, the CEO for sure, and the chairman would also get involved. I would suppose the financial controller would be a part of doing transfers as well.
Okay, so then you're saying that to the best of your knowledge, right, in terms of the completion or the approval of any transfers, right, it would require a dual checks and balance system where 2 signatures have to affix to make that complete. That's what you're saying.
Correct.
Okay, so based on that, right, we have seen a situation, we have heard situation as it relates to Jeannette Pantan, and that Jeannette Pantan, right, took millions based on how, you know, the information that we in receipt of. But how could this possible in terms of Jeannette Pantan, right, gaining access to SSL general account? How could that be done?
Well, that's not possible because either a customer would request a payment through their wealth advisor via email, and then that email would be used as a support to request a payment to the customer. A check would be done, and if the customer requests that it be encashed, it would be done like, I guess, the bearer, and then encashed and then sent by bearer to the customer.
So under no circumstances that certain withdrawals or transfer would have been done without the signatories being oblivious of the situation. They would have aware of the situation.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. I'm saying that to say, right, just to make, you know, for listeners to understand that under no circumstances that Jeannette Pantan, right, would have able to process, right, a transfer, a check or whatever, right, without the approval of 2 signatures affixed. Am I correct with that assessment?
Yes, you're correct.
Okay. All right, let us dig a little bit deeper, right? Do you know of or hear of any information as it relates to how the GLP accounts, right, in terms of being financed by, you know, persons might be putting any money into that GLP accounts in SSL?
Well, there was one time when I heard about, I think there was some flurry of activity and excitement where a check had come in from a company that was doing construction work for the government. A huge amount of money came
Wow.
to the law.
Well, what you just explained seems like you're explaining what defined as a political kickback.
Yeah,
Do you see that?
well, that's the term that you can use, of course.
Because again, if said, you know, the JP accounts that are in SSL, and if you have, you know, the JP administration giving, you know, contracts to whosoever or whatever company that they are giving these contracts to, and then these companies, you know, are putting money in the GLP account in SSL, that is definitely political kickback. You wouldn't say that?
Yes, it is, because it's cash we're talking about, you know.
Now, let us talk about, have you heard about any site inspection that would have done by the FSC as it relates to SSL in terms of, you know, correcting certain behaviors?
Yes, I observed them there in the office.
And as it relates to your knowledge, right, would you say in terms of certain procedures that SSL would have carried out within tandem of FSC guidelines, or there are times when FSC would have clearly breached the FSC guidelines?
Well, with the reporting of the transactions that FSC or JC would require would be prepared by, as the accounts department would prepare those reports, and then the compliance manager would review and sign off on those.
Okay. Do you have any information of, you know, any person, right, who may have a problem in terms of, you know, the company CEO or the persons who are managing or supervising, asking, you know, such person to falsify any report?
Well, what I can say is that within a few years, 2 redundancies were done for the compliance position, which I found strange, you know. And, you know, through the grapevine, we hear that, you know, something went wrong, so to speak, in the sense that, because these persons are persons of integrity. And once you are of integrity and you're not doing what they want you to do, then you have no use to them. So when that was a buzz in the office about, you know, the fact that compliance positions are being made redundant. Yeah, so I believe something went down there, so that maybe some unethical requirements were being made of those persons, while those positions were made redundant. 2 in a row. Something is strange about that.
Okay, so having quick position in terms of 2 compliance managers being dismissed. Would you say?
I wouldn't say they were dismissed. I would say that their positions were made redundant.
Okay, all right. Let us say what you're.
Okay, all right. Let us say what you're saying. Would you say that the position were made redundant as a result of, them not want to following through the particular status quo that exists as it relates to possibly criminality, or they weren't doing, their job properly in terms of, on board with policies and procedures that would have been outlined by the FSC.
Yeah, more than likely that is the case.
That is the
But
case.
I can tell you that those persons came up against a lot of pushbacks, especially with the wealth advisors, not doing the things that they ought to do properly.
Okay, so let us understand you. You're saying that based on your knowledge, those two compliant persons, they are quite competent enough. That is what you're saying?
Yeah, man, they are competent, because we saw a lot of good changes taking place when those persons were in charge.
Okay, and so if they are competent enough, and of course their position becomes redundant, simply mean the company seems to want to move the process of checks and balance. Is that what you're saying?
It would appear so.
That they want to get rid of checks and
balances. If that was the reason for the position in the first place when FSC came in, then more than likely that is the reason why they don't want that.
Exactly. So then here it is that you have FSC, right? Based on on-site inspection, may unravel that, okay, SSL is not following the guidelines, right, of FSC. However, right, they had given them time to make the corrections, but based on what you are saying here, that they have no interest in to make those corrections, right? That would be what you're saying from your observation, right?
Correct, because this is what you saw, what happened in the afterwards that came out in the news.
Exactly. So, just, let me ask you, but so the continuation of their wrongdoing, right? Doesn't you find it alarming how it was allowed to continue up until 2021?
It is alarming, and the question to ask though, if FSC wanted compliance to be effective in a failing company, why would they allow the positions to become redundant?
Exactly. And
that's a question to ask them.
Yes. And I am surprised of that in terms of, getting the company even under the I would say the supervision of FSC, right, would have made try to delete your checks and balance system, which would be the compliance managers, because the responsibility of the compliance manager is to ensure that they are compliant.
Correct.
And so then removing those guardrails, simply saying that, right, SSL was adamant in breaking the rules and regulation of FSC.
Yeah, and then it becomes a free for all.
Okay. You spoke of a company, C2W. And I want to give, let me speak on it some bit, because I managed to read some information upon that. And I realized that FSC and JSE aided SSL to be on the GSE stock market. And I am wondering, as it relates to why FSC and JSE would have facilitated SSL to be on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, knowing that they have several breaches prior to them going on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. What would be the reason for that?
Well, what I know is that in 2006, Hugh Crosby was re-elected as a director on the JSE board.
But, okay, so Hugh Crosby, I want to understand this. Hugh Crosby, who once ran along with Paul Cheng Young in the 90s financial meltdown, and where the court, right, had ordered Paul Cheng Young not to engage in any business where his so-called assets are concerned. However, we have seen where Paul Cheng Young, right, pass on 19 properties to Hugh Crosby to hide those properties. Now, the government would have information, you know, as it relates to that situation, right? I mean, so for JSE to have such a person with, you know, that sort of history on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, and then if he is, as you said, was on the board, right, where his company SSL is now bargaining to be on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, wouldn't that be a conflict of interest?
Of course, that would be. That's a clear conflict.
Clear conflict of interest when you have Hugh Crosby on the JSE board and bargaining for his company SSL to be on the Jamaica Stock Exchange in spite of the several breaches that SSL, right, would have as it relates to one of the breaches, misappropriation of clients' funds.
Yeah, but it's a continuation. It's just a continuation of what this government is currently doing, you know. Because look at the IC report. Nepotism at its highest. People are appointed because of the fact that they are your friends.
So SSL has anything to do, any relation to do with ADMAT?
Well, what I know and heard, and I mean it is solid that it was Mark Crosby who set up that account.
ADMAT?
St. Lucia. Right.
Mark Crosby set up an ADMAT account in St. Lucia.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to ask you a question as it relates to what Andrew Holness' lawyer said. Andrew Holness' lawyer, Patrick Bailey, stated that in 2011, right, Andrew Holness had got money from SSL, that he used a portion of that to purchase the land, right, at Beverly Hills. So I'm asking you, do you know or hear of any account Andrew Holness have in SSL?
I was not aware of any.
None whatsoever.
I was not aware of, no, I was not aware of any.
Okay.
All right.
Hopefully the IC report can give us more information on that, seeing that they went through his bank accounts.
Well, based on what we got from the IC, right? The IC did not make mention of any account that Andrew Holness has in SSL. However, what the IC made mention of is that $143,000 US from an NCB account that transferred to from an SSL account, sorry, that transferred to NCB, right, where Andrew Holness took out an account 10 days prior to that amount of money deposited in his account. So this is one of the reasons why I'm asking the question, right? Since you have inner knowledge of SSL, to the fact that you were a worker there, right? Because just like how you receive information that, yeah, Bolt has an account with us or whatever, you know, those are big wigs. So, you know, one would be happy to know that, okay, all right, you know, you have big names coming in, and you are saying that you have no such information as it relates to Andrew Holness having any account in SSL.
No, I've not personally seen it or heard about it. I was going to add much about account in St. Lucia I was made aware of.
So you see, this is the reason why the CRAW report is so significant in terms of those investigators would have gotten those details, be able to pass it on. Because if it is the case, and we are not saying that it is, if it is the case that Andrew Holness will be getting money from SSL and not having an account, would want to know why. Wouldn't I mean anyone want to know why the Prime Minister will be getting money from SSL and not having an account in SSL? However, as you said, based on what you have heard, that Mark Craskerry would have managing ADMAT account, and that is quite interesting, right? Wouldn't you say that is quite interesting?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Why would you say it is interesting? Let me expound on that.
Well, it's not an account that is being opened in SSL. It's an account being opened overseas.
By Mark Craskerry.
In a tax haven country.
Wow, because we never know that Mark Craskerry linked to this. And you spoke something about Michael Leachin. What is the association with Michael Leachin pertaining to SSL?
Well, the AIC account in Barbados, I believe that was one also opened by SSL.
Wow. And that belongs to Michael Leachin.
Yeah.
Oh, seems like the web is a little bit thick, getting thicker there, right? As it relates to Michael Leachin, right? In terms of the association with SSL in that regard, right? But I find it, you know, really serious, wearing as it relates to the JMP accounts. But just let me ask you. Have you gotten any information as it relates to any members of the People's National Party having any account in SSL?
No, I can't recall seeing any.
Okay.
I can't recall seeing any.
But you have definitely observed, right, as it relates to GLP accounts in SSL.
Yeah.
And
I've only seen GLP personnel there.
You have seen GLP personnel there?
Yeah. I've never seen a PNP personnel visiting.
So who are those JP persons that you have seen there?
Well, I've seen Civ Right. There's another one, I can't remember his name though. But I've seen Civ Right there. I've seen Beach in there. A good friend of Mark, best friend I was told.
Best friend of Mark, Craskerry. Okay, so we sort of see, you know, the sort of linkage, Mark Craskerry, Michael Leachin, you know, Andrew Holness, Admat, and, you know, that sort of, you know, thing. But I find it amazing in terms of SSL, right? Were they trading legitimately on the Jamaica Stock Exchange?
Do you know?
Well, no, I don't know about that.
Okay.
But they were doing legitimate business, apart from the what happened to people's account.
So you're saying that the legitimate business that they were doing, it's separate, it totally separate from a part of those 200 accounts that had been fleeced.
Yeah, they were doing, yeah, man, business was being done.
Okay,
And
so
bonds were being purchased and repos and stocks and all of that for people.
okay, so
is it a situation clearly to say that investors invest their money, because this is what it looks like, that investors invest their money. However, right, these investors' money wasn't being investing on their behalf, but investing on others person's behalf who may, I would say outrightly, pilfering their money in terms of doing so, right? Because here we have it, over 200 accounts being freezed, and none of these persons have not been benefited, but yet you might have selected few that benefited, right? Would you say that?
Yeah, because look at Jeannette. She confessed to only a portion of what was stolen. So there must be somebody else who stole the rest.
Exactly. And let me just ask you this final question. Because as it relates to investigators, you have money that collected from investors, whether through transfers, whether through checks or whatever. Okay, so you have these investors that use whatever medium, whether transfer, checks or whatever, to put their money in SSL general account, right? And obviously, it would be a particular bank that that obtain this, all of these money, or to say it has to be a particular specific bank that all SSL general account. My question: how would those money are, you know, being moved from out of that those accounts, and the bank seems to not having any awareness of the withdrawals? And as you said, that it's a double dual checks and balance system where two signatures of their fixed. So how would those money appear?
Well, that's a big question, but the accounts department will be the one responsible for those accounts.
Okay.
So the checks and balances would lie within that department.
Okay. So again, we'll have to anticipate the crowd report to understand the details. And it is quite imperative that the crowd report being released.
All right. So I think we finished. I want to apologize for the few distortion, right, that has been there. But I want to tell all the persons. My wife spent a long time. She was extremely tired, and so then of course a few little gaps, but you know we can overlook that. You know she really worked hard. Really worked. She spent more than 7 hours, right, trying to deal with edit and you know repeatedly put it through certain folders. So obviously a few little errors. We don't mind that. The fact of the matter, we get the information out, and we apologize for any inconvenience. But let me go to the panel, and before we go to the panel,
assure them, please, that the voice is disguised because a lot of people are concerned that it's not the person's voice.
No, that what you hear is not.
Technology is very good these days, so
what you have heard is not the person's voice.
The person's voice.
So the voice has been disguised. So the key points that I want to point out to the panel, and we're going to go get into that and break down. So let me ask some questions in terms of what we did that we unleash here tonight. So I have 6 key points in terms of what I took from what being communicated here. Number 1, why Mark Craskerry opening an ADMAT account for Andrew Owners in St. Lucia. Number 2, why Mark Craskerry asking his employee to falsify information on a financial report to send to a regulatory entity, Jamaica Stock Exchange, and as a result of refusal to do such, person or persons were made redundant. Right? Why the JLP administration has multiple accounts in SSL. This is very important. Why the JLP administration has multiple accounts in SSL. Why contractors who hired by the JLP contractors were putting monies in the JLP accounts in SSL. Why Darrell Vaz has multiple accounts in SSL and where multiple transfers were processed to pay Darrell Vaz data tuition. Why FSC and JSE facilitated SSL to be on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, knowing SSL culture of malpractices, which obviously conflict of interest, having you Craskerry on the JSE oversight board, right, while its entity bargained to be on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. So these are some of the questions that we are going to break down. Rattigan, let us begin with you.
Yeah, what was that? What was that mistake?
Well, in terms of my key points that I've taken out asking this question, why Mark Craskerry opening ADMAT account for Andrew Owners in St. Lucia, right? Why Mark Craskerry asking his employee to falsify information and a financial report to send to a regulatory entity, right, which is JSE, Jamaica Stock Exchange, and as a result of refusal to do so, right, such persons were made redundant. Why the JLP administration has multiple accounts in SSL? Why contractors who were hired by the JLP contractors were putting monies in the JLP accounts? Why Darrell Vaz has multiple accounts in SSL and where multiple transfers were processed to pay Darrell Vaz data's tuition? And why FSC and JSC facilitated SSL to be on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, knowing SSL culture of malpractices with obvious conflict of interest, having you Craskerry and the Jamaica Stock Exchange oversight board, while this entity SSL bargaining to be on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Well, look, that litany of events you just recited should tell everyone, that this appears to be corruption at the highest level. I mean, how there's no other way you can square this, you know. There's no, as much as you might try, there's no other way you can square this. Because there are procedures and there are policies. And they create these things for them to be followed. not for them to, not for you to go sideways on them. But apparently, it's like these policies and all of these procedures, they're good for some people, but they're not good for other people. People tend to look the other way. And this is one of the primary problems in Jamaica. And some people might say, well, it happened all over the world. Well, I don't care about how it happened all over the world. I'm talking about Jamaica. How it happened over the world, let somebody else deal with that in that part of the world. We're talking about why it happened in Jamaica. It shouldn't be that you can say, well, it happened someplace else, so we can just allow it in Jamaica. And what is amazing, what is amazing to me was that, according to the source, they didn't have any oversight in place. And you say, how can you have a financial institution in collecting and investing people's money, and people don't know how there's no tracking of the money coming in and where it's going? It just coming and so this lends credence to what Pastor Ricky has been saying for quite some time now. I mean, a lot of people have been saying it, but Pastor Ricky make it a point of duty. Him say it every chance him get, that this is a Ponzi scheme. This is a Ponzi scheme. It just come in and just go, and nobody don't know where the money go. And then, things that's supposed to be handled at a central location, you find that the people at the top, them handle it, and people. So where the control mechanism, and then also FID. FID was supposed to have inspected this institution, and they did, but they didn't do what they were charged with doing, and that is to put these people out of business because of what they were doing to the rules. They were not only bending the rules, they were breaking the rules, and them just allow this to happen. And then to make it worse, we see where FID sent a letter to the former minister of finance, to say, hey, look, there's a problem over here with this thing. And then the minister say, oh, I never get the letter, And then him say, oh, you know what? Oh, then we found out that the letter was sent to him two ways. It was sent to him by courier and by email. And then him say, oh, you know what? I spent a weekend last week just going through my cabinet in my office, and I found the document. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. And we have to do something about it, because for far too long we have accepted these things as just the norm. I understand that people are hungry, and for some of them, this while this might sound scandalous, this not gonna help them put food on the table. It not gonna put clothes on them back. It not gonna put money in them pocket. But them have to realize that at the end of the day, money have to go towards supporting this investigation that could have been used to do something else for them. They must realize attention that should be focused on helping them. Attention focused on SSL. And so the big loser, you seeing lose money, but the biggest loser in all of this are the people of Jamaica. The people of Jamaica, because with instances like these, there's no way the corruption index going move in a favorable direction. No, in fact, it dropped 4 points. It should have dropped 40 points, but them drop it 4 points. But a 40 them should drop it, because with the 28 bank account and with SSL and with Dalrymple and with Leslie Campbell and with who else? That Holy Pop, all of them. It should have been them say anything below 50 means you're extremely corrupt. Jamaica should have 4. It shouldn't have 40. It should have them try to lap off the 0. So, we just want to thank you for bringing this thing to light, so people can get an open view, clear, unobstructed view as to what's going on there. Because heretofore, nobody from there, we don't hear from nobody who associated with that. The one lady them lock up, we don't hear from her, and we probably won't hear from her. But she can be responsible for all of these things, and there it is. And the owners them fly out and gone. So we're going to yield right now because we have a big panel tonight, and I'm see melting pot one jump on it already. So let me just yield.
You're muted, Sir Byron. We're not hearing you.
All right, melting pot, take it away.
Yes, this is quite a revelation. and a groundbreaking project tonight. Because based on all, the various bulletin points that I have analyzed coming out of the interview, what is at the forefront of everything is that SSL was orchestrated, crafted, and formulated by the Jamaica Labour Party. It's their institution. You understand? And in order to make it a bit more, vibrant to the wider public, they sought some high-profile individual like Usain Bolt, and then a few more senior citizens based on what I was hearing coming out of the interview. But Andrew Holness, now as the Prime Minister, was endorsing it on certain forum that he spoke. He was endorsing SSL. So we are seeing, a system that lends it on to Ponzi scheme, as Pastor Ricky eloquently stated, and I mean, it has devastated Jamaica as an island and Jamaicans as, individual all over the world, because we were not, expecting our leaders to be involved in such high profile corruption. And everything from the outset was just a myth as to where was the investigation going. We're not hearing from certain people that we should be hearing from. I mean, high profile Iraqis within Jamaica seem to be disenfranchised with SSL at the beginning, as it, it didn't matter to them. And I mean, you can't have something that, the icon Usain Bolt was a part of that went AWOL, but, it didn't get the publicity from the high echelon of politicians, such as the leader of the country, Andrew Holness. Him spend nearly 3 weeks before him come out and open him out. But now we know why. It was a GLP institution commissioned by the GLP, pioneered by Andrew Holness, using the con man Crosby and his son, and then link up with a banker who we know him reputation no good. Because remember, he can't explain how him become a billionaire, And I mean, I would know where I work to begin with. Because becoming a billionaire, you would have a CV that you could, use to highlight your success. So we know some dangerous con people there in Jamaica, headed by Andrew Holness. And I don't care what the labor right them want to say tonight. This just highlight who Andrew Holness is. Andrew Holness is a replica of Edward Seaga, Andrew Holness come and take up where Edward Seaga left off. Because Edward Seaga was a con man, a bad man, and a gangster, and a dan. And Andrew Holness come replicate the whole of these things. Because remember, I've been telling people all along that Edward Seaga, brought Andrew Holness around the Jamaica Labour Party and nurtured him as one of his, progeny, most respected progeny, because he brought him through at his own idea and thought process. I don't know for what reason. I don't know them become affiliated in the first place. But it's been said all along that Edward Seaga apprenticed Andrew Holness to come take over the country. And we see it happen. And we see where Andrew Holness now becomes Edward Seaga ghost. The nightmare to the people of Jamaica. Him involved in all type of corruption and all type of killing and all type of thing. You understand? Because we hear some more thing since the week upon him. So this guy not supposed to represent no constituency upon no ballot paper. Andrew Holness is behind bars, you know. But it's only because Jamaica wrapped up in a corruption why Andrew Holness is not behind bars. Because as I just outlined, Andrew Holness are the next Dan after Siaga. He move like him can't mash hands. People don't be fooled. Don't be drawn into some of him simplicity ideas where him have know him come across. It's a demon that in disguise. But we are here to tell you the real Andrew Holness. Him want to control the place. Like how Siaga did have the place. Him want to institutionalize certain things and him want to commission certain things. And him achieve him success because the death squad them were in a Jamaica. Them can't farm in a Jamaica unless Andrew Holness give the green light. Everybody at work under Andrew Holness administration. That's why if you notice, under him government police in a parliament, people don't look at that no man. The man be a face, you know. The man bare face with him act of criminality and him unprofessional way of how him run the country. Him not care. Because Dan will not care. And Dan don't have to answer to nobody. So we now have to make sure we highlight to everybody who them have now as the leader around the country. Him cannot be the leader going forward. Because this man will bring Jamaica further in the pit of hell than where it is right now. So Andrew Holness, Strict 5, and all the cronies, them like Michael Leachin, Crash Curry and him son, Darrell Vaz, and you have Big Mouth Delano Steve Wright. Him a part of it too, you know. Because I used to go into the place, go check Crash Curry regular. The one we cut up the people them off down a country there. Him in I too. That's why when you see them a show up themselves, you know, you have to wonder where them here little jing bang you come from. And I show themselves like them have profile now. You know? Them have profile and a style away in our society. And we don't know who them jing bang there is. But now we are know. Because them driven by greed. And them enrich themselves with wealth and that give them the power. That's why you see all of them big mouth one that they go down so cut up the people them rough. You understand? Because the whole of them, you know, is in a ring of corruption. And there is none to control the other. When you look at all what happened under the Andrew Holness administration, like, you know, George Rang, I beat him wife with a stool in a public place, but him can't move. Fly Green. Fly, you know. Green. Breaking the protocol and no movement days. And nothing can happen to him. Even Nancy Queenie. Wula Babi. Break protocol. Instead of him get harassment and the police get movement. They move up Mandisel. And put him on like a scrap heap at Hunsby. So we are watch these things. But let that strip from the SSL saga. Let's stick on to that point. Now I want to know if man like Darrell Vaz now. Killer Vaz. Let me give him right name. I go come out now. Can you hear your name calling? You know? Because you was the man now we are the chairman with the Labour Party. I count them. More than one of them, you know. And you represent them thing there. Yeah? And all of them say Vaz, but you know, some say Vaz GLP. So you know, say them belong to the GLP. but the film stewardess, him a response to them. So you know, so him involved in it. And we see that with the physical building itself, SSL, end up in him daughter-in-law, name as a gift given to her by her father, but the man that who her father, Christopher Boomer. We don't know about him. Where him spring up from with them the money there for buy SSL for 300 million. Where I go on? Darrell Bar, they need to come talk to you, you know. Because you was hidden puzzling at the jigsaw, you know. But not to we didn't know say you involved. But we didn't want to get some more substance by you know. We have it now. We have it now. So when I just look for Andrew Wallace alone from the GLP, we are look for you too, because you play a big role in it. And we are look for the boy Big Mouth Delano Steve right. Yeah. So right now, Strike 5, I bet they just come out to the crowd report now, you know. Because we money pay for that long time and it's down by your table. You see how far we gone at the investigation, right? So it's going to make your crowd report look like garbage, you know. So I bet you come out with it now. I bet you release the crowd report now. Because we are way ahead of you in this investigation, you know. I'm going to just throw in all the power for arrest and charge people, you know. And put them behind prison, you know. So if you don't want to look like piece of garbage, Strike 5, better just come out quick and fast and come, you know, release the crowd report. Yeah, man. And I just said the right now, you know, I yield back the floor to another member of the panel.
All right. Hold on the Pastor Ricky, because you're a solid anchor, right, as it relates to the platform. So you know you're going to anchor this, right? So make sure you collect all the notes and then you smooth down. All right, Jamaics, come in the space.
Hey, thank you. I tell you, great work, I must say, firstly, Uncle Byron and Uncle Will, great work.
Bless you.
Bringing the truth to the Jamaican people. And only the truth is constant and consistent and will always stand no matter what. The truth is like a lion, you set it free and exactly. It will defend. So when you look at this whole thing, there are some things that's striking for me. First thing I'll have to go back and ask the Prime Minister. In 2022, when the Integrity Commission approached you and said and presented the Ethics Code of Conduct to you for you to sign, to say that you're going to be true and fair to the Jamaican people. They're talking about transparency, integrity, accountability. Why didn't you sign it? And that is where it all starts from. Looking at this whole situation tonight, to hear that they remove the compliance officers, well, not remove, but made the position redundant. And that is what needs to keep the balance, the transparency within a company. I'm asking the Prime Minister just to educate the Jamaican public. What is the role of the FSC, the Financial Service Commission, right? And also, is the FSC a government agency? Is it the Jamaican people paying to have the FSC run? If that is the case, and the role of the, please correct me if I'm going wrong, the FSC role, in my opinion, Pastor Ricky, Uncle Ratigan, Uncle Byron, Uncle Melting Pot, please correct me. But in my understanding, the FSC role is to ensure that they keep integrity, transparency, and accountability in the financial system of the country. And
You're
this
right,
will, that is it?
Yes.
That's right. Thumbs up.
Okay, thank you. So that investors, whether locally or internationally, can come into Jamaica or buy into the Jamaican product and get return from that. If that is the case, why is it that the Prime Minister is silent about something that has affected over 200 investors, including an icon like Usain Bolt. They always say silent mean consent. Mr. Prime Minister, is your hands dirty in SSL? And if that's the case, the Jamaican people, well-thinking Jamaican people, are asking you to step aside and allow the FID to carry out its job, its duty, if your hands are clean. And in the interim, we would like to have the Crow report. The Jamaican people start reading more than ever before. Provide us with the information. You're clean, transparent. You owe us this. It's our tax dollars paying for it, because we are investors, we are financiers of this business called Jamaica, a free business. So allow us to get the information that we can read. But trust me, I don't have much to say. I'm just in awe and say, oh my God, Jamaicans, we deserve better. We deserve better governance. We deserve transparency. We deserve a higher standard of living, understanding. Corruption should not continue. It steals from the schools. No wonder $902 billion unaccounted for. Can't find job. Choose your adjective. Only 18% of our youth pass 5 subjects or more. I'm asking a question. Is education still the key? Then why is it that we are not highlighting that education is struggling and it is bad? Forget the charades that happened in the House of Parliament today talking about budget. We have to ensure that we have transparency. And with this SSL case, it shows that the Prime Minister is dirty. And we want him to step aside. Well-thinking Jamaicans. We don't want to have you on the election ballot. I don't feel like you're worthy. I don't know about anybody else. But I'll yield to Pastor Ricky and I'll continue to listen. Thank you.
All right, there you go. And I mean, it's to be honest, Jamaica, right? It is really, such an embarrassment as it relates to what we have seen unfolded, right? And the involvement, right, and the trickery that provide for SSL to be on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. And tonight we are going to show the evidence, so that if people, anyone who is wondering, how Mystic Sensation as it relates to what was communicated, prove that JSE and FSC, right, colluded in terms of putting SSL on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. We are going to show the evidence before we go, right, so that everyone can read the evidence. And you know how Mystic Sensation is. We are going to present the evidence. So it is not Mystic Sensation is saying that. It is not the panel is saying that, right? Just based on what we have done in terms of the interview that coming out of the inner walls of SSL. We also, right, check on the validity of the information and prove that it was 100% facts as it relates to the source within the inner walls of SSL. And I'm not going to let anyone go without we establish the evidence so people can read it. Now, Pastor Ricky, take it away and smooth it for us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sir Byron. First of all, let me say thank you to you and your lovely wife, Lady Anne-Marie, also Sir Rattigan, and also the source, who was brave and bold to come forward as a whistleblower and to share pertinent, detailed information that make this night a historic night. We also want to thank Father Lonesome, the Godfather, because he's been beating on SSL for a long time as well. So, and I just want to say, to my fellow Jamaicans who are watching, I believe it's almost 2,200 people on the live. Continue to tap up the live, because we want, on this historic night, we want this live to be in the rank high on YouTube's algorithms. And so please, if we have, I believe, 2,200 people in the chat, we should have at least 2,200 likes. Or, you know, a famous, powerful opposition leader, prime minister in waiting, Comrade Leader Mark Golden gave a powerful speech in 2023, and that speech resonated with me even to this moment. And if I may quote him, he says, "A corrupt government cannot liberate the people. If the head of the stream is corrupt, then the whole entire river is also corrupted." One of the most powerful speech I've heard since President JFK asked not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. One of the most powerful speech I've heard since Dr. Martin Luther King, Reverend King, stated that he had a dream to see that Black Americans will be not judged by the color of their skin and be free at last. And so I just want to add to what Comrade Leader Mark Golden said. Comrade Leader, you need to speak that word consistently, pound and hammer this criminal prime minister on corruption. And let me just add to what Comrade Leader, because I was inspired by his speech, and my version is, a dishonest government cannot tell the people the truth. If the head of the government is dishonest, then the whole entire government is also dishonest. And so what the Shima revelations that has been exposed tonight implicate the whole entire Jamaica Labour Party has been part of the greatest heist, the fleece that's defraud over 200 investors out of their investment. SSL is the mother of all scandal. It's a Ponzi scheme. And so when we look at the revelations that was birthed in this live tonight, number one, the people of West Portland should reject Darrell Voss. The people of West Rural St. Andrew should reject the Prime Minister. The people of Jamaica should reject the whole entire Jamaica Labour Party. The Jamaica Labour Party has had multiple accounts in SSL. Let me say this again. The Jamaica Labour Party had multiple accounts in SSL. The question was asked, did any account was identified from the People's National Party? And the answer was absolutely no. It reveals to you and I that this Ponzi scheme that defrauded 31 million US dollars, including the great iconic legend Usain Bolt of $12.7 million, was orchestrated, manufactured, and developed to fleece, to rob, and to steal from the people of the investors in SSL. And also, when we look at NHT, bless Michael Manley. I'm a Michael Manley Ice. Live forever in my memories. Michael Manley's vision of NHT was never to be involved in a Ponzi scheme. It was established to help those to get housing when he first envisioned NHT. But nevertheless, we have a criminal prime minister who has placed taxpayers' money, those who paid into NHT. You need to find out how much, where is your money right now that you've been paying into NHT all these years. He has placed NHT money into this Ponzi scheme. He has placed NIS, National Insurance Funds money into NIH, National Health Funds, NHF. He has also placed the Banana Board for the farmers money into SSL, which accumulated to be over 1.1 billion Jamaican dollars. This Ponzi scheme has robbed a total of $4.5 million. that the prime minister, who should be above reproach, leaders should be above reproach. Leaders should lead by example. This criminal went to CARICOM 3 weeks ago and sat amongst noble men and women of the Caribbean, which the theme was to break up gangs and organized crime, knowing that he's a criminal and should never ever be sitting amongst noble people of the Caribbean. The prime minister has no account in SSL. It was very clear. Yet SSL had an account for ADMAT, which is the graveyard, the cemetery for the prime minister, criminal financial crimes. SSL had an account for ADMAT. ADMAT was established by the prime minister's lawyer in 2008. The prime minister joined SSL, a Ponzi.
You're muted. Your volume went, Pastor Ricky. Your volume went.
Your volume. What is something with them use and track people? Seems like them.
I'm a tracking man, but anyway, make them go on track because right now what Pastor Ricky is saying, you know, it's wonderful, you know, see where it go. Because when you look on just how the man them, you know, becomes wealthy, yeah, you have to wonder where the wealth come from. But now we know.
Okay.
You understand? Because you come back.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Now we know where the wealth come from. Yeah. SSL. And that's so all of them gravy run through. You understand? Because we now know say Mark Craskery set up the account for ADMAT in a St. Lucia. Yeah. And as Pastor Ricky said, at the graveyard that for Andrew Holness corruption. Because Andrew Holness, from him going in politics, you know, him going with one aim and one objectivity, just to rob the country. Come back in, Pastor. Come in back, Pastor.
Yeah, the devil is a liar and the devil is defeated, because we are going to expose these criminals for who they are, and no weapon formed against us shall ever prosper. Now, the source eloquently stated that the prime minister, she could never have identified an account in SSL. I'm sorry, the source said that. I'm sorry, the source said that. Excuse me. The source said that they could have never identified any account for the prime minister in SSL. Yet the prime minister lawyer revealed in 2011, in 2016, he revealed that in 2011 that the prime minister had a payment from SSL when he was purchasing the land to build his Beverly home mansion. So if he did not have an account in SSL, but yet he had a payout from SSL in 2011, how come he got a payout from SSL in 2011 without an account in SSL? Next thing we know, the prime minister also had another payout in 2012 from SSL. And so in 2021, when the prime minister closed his account, and according to him, his account that he did not have in SSL, he stated that the IC report stated that he had a payout of $143,000 from SSL. So we're seeing the prime minister getting withdrawals from SSL, but we don't have any clue, nor the source have any clue that the prime minister ever had an account in SSL, nor did the prime minister paid or invested according to the Ponzi scheme, which we know they weren't doing, but for argument's sake, we don't have any idea, any clue, any evidence that he's had any deposit into SSL. And so it tells me that SSL was set up, and the criminal web of all of these criminals are all friends, and they were using the money of the investors to give to each other. Now, as it relates to the Voz, let me say this very quickly. Voz is caught in a lie. This interview exposed the letter that he put out or about 3 weeks ago, when he stated that he had no clue about the SSL being transferred as a gift to his daughter-in-law. While we know tonight that he had multiple accounts in SSL, and we also know that he was the treasurer of the Jamaica Labour Party that was taking withdrawals from SSL. So how in the world you need to come to the microphone and clear your name, Voz. You need to clear your name, because you're the same one said nothing is private in Jamaica. So if you did not know that your daughter-in-law received SSL building as a gift that cost over $300 million, you didn't know about it till 3 weeks ago. But at the same time, you had multiple accounts in SSL, and at the same time, you were the treasurer for the Jamaica Labour Party, who was receiving multiple transfer from SSL and taking money from the Jamaica Labour Party accounts to pay for your daughter's college fees. Come to the mic and clear that up, because in my opinion, you should resign from office, and the people in West Portland should not ever endorse you to be any MP in Portland until you clear your name. Now, as it relates to the Jamaica Labour Party, the Jamaica Labour Party was involved in this Ponzi scheme to fund their elections. The 2016 election was funded by SSL, and then also the 2012 election that Mama P won, the Jamaica Labour Party used funds from SSL for that election also. And we can imagine that the 2020 election was also another funding source for the Jamaica Labour Party, using taxpayers' money from NHT, using taxpayers' money from NIS, using taxpayers' money from NFS, and the health insurance, let me get it right, the National Health Fund, the National Health Fund, and the Banana Board for Farmers. So the Jamaica Labour Party has been using taxpayers' money to fund their election, which I believe in America, that is a crime, and they should be prosecuted. And this is why the people of Jamaica should reject the Jamaica Labour Party for their criminal activities. And when they run out to the microphone to threaten that they're going to sue me, because we have the facts, we have the evidence that the Jamaica Labour Party government is a transnational crime organization that is involved in money laundering, stealing taxpayers' money, drug trafficking, gun trafficking, and the Jamaica Labour Party is an arm also of the Jamaica Shower Posse that the CIA classified as a notorious gang that is connected to the Jamaica Labour Party. And so one last point, as it relates to the DPP. The DPP is between a rock and a hard place. And if she dare think she can throw this case out, if she dare think she can prosecute Gina and Panton alone, this case is going to send her to prison after she retires from her office. Because what she needs to do is to prosecute everybody that's involved in the SSL Ponzi scheme that the Kroll investigators, forensic investigators, say that she should prosecute. She doesn't need to do any investigation going on. The investigation was already completed. So all she has to do is act on the recommendation of Kroll's and Associate, the forensic auditors from the UK, and do what they recommend to do. Mark Krosky and his father, Hugh Krosky, we know they are both pilots of SSL. And as the source stated, that money cannot be checks and money cannot be transferred unless you have two signature, and the two signature only comes from the CEO, Chief Executive Officer, which is Mark Krosky, and the financial controller, which is Hugh Krosky. So therefore, it tells us that Jeannette Panton could not have fleeced $4.5 billion, even though in her affidavit, she stated that she only is responsible for 20% of $4.1 million. And so we know now that the prime minister is linked to SSL. So when corrupt Morgan come out, Senator Morgan came out the other day to cover for the prime minister. Be careful, Morgan, because you're such a pathological liar that you're implicating yourself in a criminal crime scene, and you're aiding, abetting, and covering up for criminals. The prime minister never invested in SSL on the stock exchange because SSL was never trading on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, according to the source. The SSL was placed on the stock exchange in a reverse takeover by C2W Music Company in 2018. 10 years after the prime minister joined SSL. And so if he got a payout in 2011, according to his former lawyer, if he got another payout in 2012, then Senator Morgan is saying that the prime minister invested in bonds and it matured and yielded in 2021. So that's why he got a dividend or a return ROI on his investment of $143,000. So why did he get a payment of in 2011 according to his lawyer, and why did he get a payment in 2012 again when he never had an account in SSL? And so as we put this puzzle together, the web is so large and they need to all be prosecuted. And this is no time to vote for the Jamaica Labour Party. After this election, and the Jamaica Labour Party is defeated in a landslide defeat, the Jamaica Labour Party should never be in position to represent in politics ever again in Jamaica. The Jamaica Labour Party should be dismantled. They're a criminal organization. They're not worthy to represent people, and they all should be locked up and prosecuted. Back over to you, Sir Byron.
Right. Thank you for that. Now, as you know, Mystic Sensation and the brand that we like as it relates to the discussion that we use evidence, source document to back up. So what I'm going to prove as it relates to FSC, who had flagged SSL for misappropriation of client funds, right, for years. But yet, FSC and JSE now collaborated to have SSL on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. So let me prove evidence number one as it relates to the knowledge that FSC have in knowing that SSL, right, was breaching all the rules, the required rules. Let us prove that with the evidence that we have. SSL branded problems institution by FSC 5 years ago. So let us prove it as it relates to, we are going to knowledge, right? As it relates to FSC.
I have to bring it up again, the commercial.
Right, yeah, in that situation that we are going to prove with mainstream source, right, reporting on FSC, right, situation where it is, right, and for people to read along with us, right, to show people that what we are presenting, we're just not talking, right, we have solid evidence in terms of what we gathered from the interview, right, with the source, and what we have aligned it with on mainstream media, where that is concerned. So we are getting up with the document for us to read the document, and we'll be sharing the document, right?
Something's wrong with the site.
Hold on.
That's how it's coming up.
You can share?
It's sharing, but it.
Hold on. Let me resend that to you.
It's not you, it's the site.
So what is okay? All right. So let us show the people like this. Okay. All right.
It's there, but it's not just how it's coming up.
So let us read this information, because this is how it is coming up. I don't know why it is coming up just like this.
It was good before.
All right. So the opinion is contained in an explosive 8-page report prepared by the FSC in February 2017 at the end of a meeting with SSL representatives who were trying to convince the regulators not to suspend its license. And I want people to understand, a suspension of the company dealer's license, even for a day, would inevitably lead to a total destruction of the company and destabilization of the financial sector. SSL reportedly noted in the document obtained by the cleaner, it added that SSL has been a problem institution, especially concerning its financial position. The FSC noted that for 5 years and 6 months leading up to February 17, so this is now talking about 2012, people, the company had been operating under its direction and has remained a problem institution for failing to file its annual report for the period of June 30 to 2016, failing to file audited accounts within 90 days of the close of the financial year, and granting credit to related parties in violation of orders issued in 2013. The revelations are sure to raise serious questions about the FSC's oversight and efforts it took to both inform and protect the public, including sports legend Usain Bolt, from the questionable actions of the 50-year-old company. Right there, also question in whether SSL had satisfied 7 conditions imposed by the FSC for the company to avert suspension in 2017. Take that away. We want to tie down, right, this situation with solid evidence. Now, people, remember that was 2012. Now, remember, look what FSC and JSE done as it relates to putting SSL on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, in spite of knowing very well that FSL is a problem company, breaking all the FSC guidelines, breaking, and as what you hear the source said when we were talking to the source, that Mark Traskery, right, was definitely forcing the source, right, to ensure that certain documents, right, falsified, right, to put SSL on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Now let us go to this document to show the world the truth in terms of what we are talking about. SSL to acquire C2W, right, music in a reverse takeover. Let us show the evidence tonight. Here it is, Jamaican people. Here it is. Here it is. SSL to acquire C2W music in reverse takeover. Notice the date, people. Wednesday, June 27, 2018. And remember, from 2009, FSC find problem with SSL. 2012, FSC find problem with SSL. 2016, FSC found problem with SSL. Look what FSC done in 2018. Let us read the evidence here. Security Dealer Stocks and Security Limited will execute a reverse takeover of loss-making public publisher C2W Music through SSL Venture Capital Jamaica Limited, a nascent subsidiary used as a vehicle for investment. Let me explain what a reverse takeover. A reverse takeover simply means that you have a private company taking over a public company, as opposed to a public company taking over the private company. And in this instance, FSC and JSE facilitate this. Let us read. SSL Venture is essentially acquiring C2W Music as a shell from which to operate. The music publisher will be renamed SSL Ventures Capital Limited once the transaction is finalized. But the change is subject to shareholder approval. The renamed firm will trade on the stock exchange as SSL Ventures. Another extraordinary meeting for that vote is scheduled tentatively for July. And remember, while doing this, remember that Hugh Croskerry is on the oversight committee for the Jamaica Stock Exchange. We want to remind you, people. Now, a reverse takeover involves a private company acquiring the controlled shares in a public traded one, in a move aimed at taking over the public company and recapitalizing it. But it also allows the private company to fast track its listing. You understand what them do? Now, the rescue program for C2W, which has been approved by regulators, who is approved by people? Regulators. And who are the regulators? Jamaica Stock Exchange and the Financial Service Commission. We don't make up this in a people. Jamaican people, we are not making it up. We are not telling any lies to look good. We are not telling any lies to get views. I am showing you the evidence. Let us read again. The rescue program for C2W, which has been approved by the regulators, was itself outlined and approved at the board level of the companies prior to the extraordinary meeting on Wednesday. The top two shareholders and principals of the company, Ivan Berry and Derek Wilkie, did not participate in the meeting. Right? We are basically buying C2W Music and then injecting capital and changing the business operation, said SSL Venture CEO Drew Gray at the meeting held at the Jamaica Stock Exchange in Kingston. SSL Venture Capital is already capitalized with $850,000, but will go back to the market to raise additional funds in order to finance future deals. C2W, meanwhile, last reported negative equity of $236,000. So yes, we go back and take the investors' money. Now, Gray indicated that SSL Venture should post earnings per share of 5 cents in its first year. Comparatively, C2W Music had negative earnings per share, having posted a full year net loss of $323,000. The current board and management team has already decided to step down as a part of the rescue mission. So we will amend the company articles of association to allow it to operate as a venture capital firm and not solely as a music rights recording, say Gray. Stocks and Security Limited already holds a quarter of the shares in C2W Music, or some 105 million of 400 million units. The rescue plan includes acquiring 80% of the total outstanding C2W shares while leaving the remaining 20% in the hands of the general public. The additional shares will be acquired from the CEO, Ivan Berry, who owns 180 million units, and Chairman Derek Wilkie, who owns 80 million shares. It is likely that FSL will acquire a portion of those holdings, since acquiring the full lot from Berry and Wilkie would push SSL's holdings to 91%. Gray and SSL would pay 1 cent per share to acquire the holdings of Berry and Wilkie. The stock currently traded at 59 cents, but the SSL team convinced the C2W directors that the fair value was 1 cent based on either a discounted cash flow or book value method of valuation, said Gray. That price effectively cut C2W market value to 4 million. The music published listed at startup in May 2012 at $1.29 per share after a successful IPO arranged by Stocks and Security. Now we know that this was failed. This was a failure. The company, whose business model was largely untested in Jamaica, has struggled since its debut to earn revenue. 5 years later, C2W audited financials for year ending December 2017 showed that the company capital had eroded to negative equity of $236,000 following the write-down of the songwriter's advances to nil versus $270,000 a year earlier. The write-down eliminated that last substantial assets of C2W's books, while its deficit have now accumulated to $1.52 million. This will allow shareholders to recoup some losses. If you were holding shares at the initial public offer price, Gray said of the rescue plan, the transaction to acquire and control a stake in a listed company under normal circumstances, people, would have required a mandatory takeover offer for the remaining shares in the hands of the public SSL in the public. However, listen up, people, however, SSL, receive a waiver and the mandatory offer from the Jamaica Stock Exchange and Financial Service Commission. We can't make up this. These are factors that included on the underperformance of the company and its accumulated deficit, where FSC and Jamaica Stock Exchange know that SSL has infraction. Take it away. Take it away. We are showing the solid proof to Jamaican people. Now, Rattigan, let me go to you. You have seen the situation, Ratty, right? Where FSC has knowledge of the impropriety of SSL, and you have FSC and JSE now make a waiver, right, to put SSL and the Jamaica Stock Exchange. No, if this is not the ISAT criminal, I don't know what it is. What say you, Ratty?
Sita, I said still. All of them entangled. I'm not going over here, so we're not connected to right or so. The whole thing connected. Don't forget, the man who sent the report about FSC over to Minister Nigel Clark used to work for Mr. Nigel Clark, Don't forget about that man there. The whole thing is just don't know what to say. Just don't know. There's not more me can say. I mean, after me listen to you and Melting Pot and Pastor Ricky and Jamaics, what more is there to say? There's not more to say, because the question where you ask me, people who watch this program, who pay attention, them know the answer, man. Our people don't hear that, Our people don't hear that. Maybe our people's people were idiots, but not our people. Not our people. Our people gone past a stage, man. Them can analyze and them can pick sense out of nonsense, man. And them know what going on. When something wrong, when something smell bad. When something smell bad, you can't eat that, man. You can't eat it. Hey, rotten. When it's rotten, man. You can't smell it. And this thing are rotten to the core, because no matter how them try explain it, it just don't make sense. It cannot make sense.
No.
And heretofore, I guarantee you, this is not the first time you have something like this, but this is the first time you have a group of people now who take this interest at the heart and say, we're going to look into this. We're going to play investigator. We're going to look into this. And then now we start revealing things to our people. Because before, we never pay attention to this. But now we are pay attention and we are call people out. We are call a spade a spade. And so for me, this is very easy, very easy. The voting public of Jamaica, we have a duty now, We have a duty, and we can't shirk that responsibility there. We cannot say, we never know. We could have said that 50 years ago or whenever, in the past. But in this day and age, nobody Jamaica's age can come up now and say, why we never know, say that go on. So we're not going to vote. Young people not have to turn out, because una the future. And if not don't turn out, if only 30% of the people are going to vote, that's 70% of the electorate. Them have no reason for talk. If you don't vote, you can't talk. People dead so you could have the right to vote, and then you sit down and say, me nah vote. A foolishness that. And especially me I talk to the young people them now, because them are the one who nah vote, you know. Them are the one who nah vote. Because them are claims that them not say nothing for vote for. Well, I tell you what, look over the last 9 years, and you say something for vote for. All right. Another way, you say something for vote against. You say something for vote against. Because you see a lot happen over the last 9 years, and all of the things that happen, it's not beneficial to the country. Look what the country there. Them come and them tell you about our macroeconomics. You know, it's sound. Yeah. But tell that to the man who live down in the garrison. Tell him that tonight. They tell him that tonight. Tell him that.
Well, Ratty, I don't cut you, but the only sound, the economic again, the macroeconomic, is the sound of the bell. Not sound of progress, the sound of the bell. Not sound of investment, but the sound of the bell.
When I'm saying we don't get that, it's our word will start with P. When I'm saying we don't get
prosperity.
We get a P.
We get a P. If you can't even add poison to. You can't throw poison in the mix.
Listen, I'll tell you the truth. You see, we see when you do a program like this, and it's so thorough, it's so comprehensive, it's so deep, you have depth to it, and you have latitude to it. There's not much you can say, you know, you just say to the public, here it is.
Yes.
It's the truth. There's not more you can say to it. So I yield.
All right. Pastor Ricky, we didn't have you anchor in on the first schedule. Now we have you up. So let us hear from you, Pastor Ricky, as it relates to FSC knowledge of SSL, culture of wrongdoing from 2009, 2012 up to 2016, and now waiver between FSC and JSE to have SSL and the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
It's sad because prior to Nigel Clark becoming the finance minister, my understanding is that he sat on the board of, I think it's FSC, prior to, if my recollection served me right. And then what the source revealed is that Mark Krosky also was also on the board of FSC. So they have been complicit in this criminal.
JSE. No, not FSC. JSE.
JSE. Yeah. Thank you. So it shows you that both the Jamaica Stock Exchange and the Jamaica FSC is all complicit into this Ponzi scheme that police rob 200 account holders of $4.5 billion, including $1.1 billion of taxpayers' money. And so putting them on the stock market, the Jamaica Stock Exchange in 2018, that was done under this criminal prime minister tenure. Remember, he became prime minister after he lied on Mama P to try to discredit her, not knowing that, you know, the prime minister is incompetent and he's just a pathological liar. But we all know Mama P came in and saved Jamaica from going over a cliff because the economy had crashed. The IMF, they failed. The Bruce Golden administration failed 14 IMF tests. Nobody will in the financial world will come to Jamaica rescue and bail us out. And thank God for former Prime Minister, affectionate Mama P, and Dr. Amar Davis, and with sub input of Comrade Leader Mark Golden, got the draft together and presented, go overseas and present the draft to the different the IMF and the World Bank, and Jamaica was able to get funding to come back and save the economy. But this criminal who wanted to continue his criminality from 07 when he was education minister in the Bruce Golding. He did not run for prime minister in 2016 or run for party leader when he stole the position from Audley Shaw. This guy's been a criminal all of his life. I mean, he stole the party leadership from Audley Shaw through fraudulent behaviors, and then he lied on Mama P and stole the mind of the Jamaican people in 2016. And then he ran because he wanted to continue the Ponzi scheme, because it's the same players from Paul Cheng Young and Associates, and it's the same players that was involved in the meltdown of the 90s that led to the FinSAC report that they can't release because it's going to expose the people in the Jamaica Labour Party that they are criminals who have robbed the Jamaica people of tax money and create poverty for the people by stealing the minerals in the ground, the bauxite, the aluminum, the copper, the gold, everything. Leading up to him running for prime minister was a continuation of criminality. He did not run for prime minister to help the Jamaica people and lift them up and improve their life. He ran for prime minister to continue criminality. So under his criminality behavior in 2017, he allowed, the license was restored after Mama P and them had flagged them in 2012 or 2013. And then in 2018, to show you that this criminal intent of this criminal prime minister continue its criminality by allowing a failed music company, C2W, that was having problems and was collapsing. But the source told us that C2W Music Company was SSL Baby from back when in 08, somewhere around that time. And so he allowed them to SSL to be placed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange in a reverse takeover of C2W Music, which should have never ever happened. And so we see the complicitness of the Jamaica Stock Exchange and FSC, the chairmen and the board of directors, they all colluded with a criminal prime minister who were their friend and allowed SSL to be placed on the stock market. And so by that time, we saw where Granny came in, the 78-year-old lady in 2019, a year later, after they were placed on the stock exchange, and she invested, well, she thought she was invested, but she invested $60 million, and the lady almost had a nervous breakdown after going to SSL 5 times trying to get a payout and was told she can't get any money. All because of this criminal prime minister who has fleeced senior citizens. Every senior citizen in Jamaica should reject this criminal and the Jamaica Labour Party for what they have done to the poor senior citizens of Jamaica. SSL should never ever been placed on the stock exchange of Jamaica to a reverse takeover because C2W Music Company was collapsing. They were failing. They weren't worthy according to what you just revealed to us. And so when you look at this criminal behavior, and I can't call this guy honorable. He's the most dishonorable person that walking in Jamaica right now. And when they lose the election, they should all go to prison. Back over to you.
Thank you so much. And in the meantime, before I call up anyone else, we have Sister Pat, who, of course, is going to give her 10 cents because, Sister Pat, right, graduated from giving 2 cents, 10 cents to each. And now, Sister Pat, what's your underline there? Sister Pat, go on with the dollar.
Good night, and blessed night to all of the brothers there. My
Blessing.
God. So
Big up yourself, Sister Pat.
Sister P, blessings.
Mistake.
Blessings.
Pastor Ricky, Jamaica, big up on yourself. Well, Jamaica people, see said that come, it come to pass. Andrew Michael Wallace is the cruelest, wickedest, heartless thing God ever created. God begs when he make it handum. I could have saved you from coming here. You see, wickedest thing of hope. Draws Davis. I take note and run with this. And I'm asking all of the bloggers them who no scream shotty and plaster over the media. Make people see we are going and tell them to go on sue because they don't talk about them are go sue. Tell them to go run up in the big wall them. You know see a big wall of work and Jamaican people no have strength for. You know see people, Jamaican people, Jamaican mothers, workers, you see we are suffer. You see what this man do to the country and do to Usain Bolt and other old people will work their ass off and now they're in twilight life. When they eat a little food and relax and go home to God safe. Now you send them to a early grave and Journalists. And Journalists, where your head not gonna be? And Journalists, you think where you do them at all? People feel too white, them come to nothing. Then go and drive like the wind, the track before the wind. You know, curl. And your mama curl to consider. Did they tell us that, son, what you are doing is wrong? Horace Chang, Dirty Warmington, Dirty Chucky Wallentire, GLP. We don't need to come down. We was a wicked since night me here, since even me I watch it. When they call it budget debate. But then I know some people have sense.
The budget confusion.
Favor Williams Jim. And we're gonna raise threshold, but we are doing it in a phase. Like a thing say we are in there, just like we don't want the constitution not phase. But 26, 27, 28 or whatever. A couple months you know have ya pack up. Pack up.
Want them, sister Pat, want them.
And I start for the eater turn. Me have things that are gonna last till September. So Jamaican people, those of us who have young picnic to vote and grand picnic, ensure me make sure to the last one with them vote. And 19, I'm certain was it. In my vote, and every time I watch Mr. He was them so in that video call because the people them are suffer. They are suffering. You come out there and make all of your promises and do all this until no go through. You're gonna make 10 school, you're gonna turn Blackstone in a Silicon Valley, you're gonna make 140 house within no year. Where house them there? Where them there with the opportunity, the $15,000 a week can't do nothing. And you only say create a criminal in Jamaica, and we're gonna take the police and kill them out. Hide the hands. When a man idly will do anything, when a man hungry with teeth. You can't look on a man and give 15,000 to 1 whole week of working at Jamaica when the least must fare from point A to point B is $150. One patty is $320, up to $350, depends on where you buy the patty. My God, Daniel, one Pepsi at Jamaica for $220, $250. The lunch, people at the hospitality, the security, them, the helper, the gardener will make up the meat.
Sister Pat, Cutter.
We have a diaspora, then we don't dirty money for come and go invest. Around we are going to out and call in with brother and sister them and say, come work a chain of supermarket down here. That's people can get good job and better food. Come run to a security company down here. Come in diaspora, take over a country, run some hotel, run some Airbnb, run some farming and get some international market over. And then we farm, we don't have market over there, we don't send over, we sell and send money come the way and change up with life, fix up with school them, get a better education, but we pity them. So we can say, oh, that's my boy, that's a lawyer, we can have a practice. I want a rat in my family, you know, want a mystic, you know, right? Want a mystic in my family, want a Jamaican, want a pastor. We don't want people every day you call them and give them no first lane. You want better in our life. I want to take you by water melting pot. Right? Every day I want to sit down in our neck and look at the revelation. You know what hurt me, Jamaican people? They know I say, you see and send to your boys. Didn't come from a rich family. I foot in natural God-given talent. Put in where the Andrew list and just sit down and key for you the money. Right? Rob the youth. All that we not create. We don't know no dead left it. Look how take away youth money when bank from parents. Oh, wicked so. And no woman in a parliament over Labour side. Someone who are barren. We don't have no respect for people. We don't chat anything and do anything and not feel like it's all. Jeannette Calder, we know say you're not sleeping up. And they have about to sit up when they find you fish up. God help you. We don't talk to people as not like in that parliament. We don't lack off mind. We do everything that's wrong. Right? We don't pay that fine in that parliament. What can go so? Look at the nasty warming time. Look at the amount of chastity went to our lab and church friend. Upon the people and white people down there. And we not investigate him. But every day I'm going to sit down for Mark Wally. We have never been a prime minister. I've never done this country no wrong. And we call him all type of different names. And who knows soon yourself. Andrew Wallace make me tell you, I am just a ordinary Jamaican. Never got the university. But people like you can't fool me. You could never fool me then. It was around now, you can't fool me again. Right? All I know, you poor people me attack, we are creep to make survive. What would I look? What happened to you? Said, boy, can happen to anyone of it. You said, boy, could that be anyone of it picnic? You said, boy, woman, put the rich people. And you them plant a chilani, like everybody poor. God have mercy upon him and in do and win and in put. And what the worst thing, you said, boy, put Jamaica on top of the whole is tear down Jamaica. You don't look at it good enough, you don't do the maths. From 1944 and adult human suffrage. Look at how the Prime Minister, this is the worst and worst ever called was ever Prime Minister in Jamaica. In keeping we a Prime Minister, in killing for NHT money, oh God. You work as a domestic helper, you contribute to NHT, you have a hope to get a house. No, me I work from me at 18 to backside, and every time we come NHT, them a carry around the corner. The only what me have love when Mark G come in, he said we can revive up some things. Security people from 2023, they pay security some money. After the highest court of the country, the Supreme Court, all of them, they pay up the security and until nobody no look for the security and pay way up. People at the hospital dead. Can't get up dead. My little son at the school, and about 3 to 4 years now, not even a book don't come to school. In a PMP days, every year, the school them get them book and you buy away for buy you get your book rented and you go to school everything good. Me say, Mystic, panel, God bless you, God bless your family, God bless everything about you now. Continue to be strong, continue to fight the fight, we support in any way we can. Right? I know say plenty of we are Papa with this baby and grand, but we deeply appreciate it and we pray night, we pray day for God cover you, bless you, and have mercy. And we thank you from the bottom of our heart. We thank you, especially for me, because what? We have young kids and we have grandkids, and we like to left this place a better place for them. Not only with me, me still young. We don't know how long me only for, so me want in the years when left me want to live happy. Right? Me don't want nobody come feed me, but give me opportunity. Exactly. When we work, we see what we work for. We can buy ourselves balanced food and keep ourselves healthy. We want to missing here what the news. Only listen here. Jamaica gone to a place where you want import sperms. SPERM Jamaica plan to import sperms. You only ever see something like that in a Jamaica? A plan to import sperms. No baby now born. So next 10 years on this a situation, yeah, the old people out there. The old people. No sperms in Jamaica, no sperms. All of them on them out of them back dry. You have and them back in the
a killing panel tonight.
The mic. You hear that?
Yeah, I'm gonna go look. There's the sperms. Who come for down here sperms? When they come, the sperms now no use.
They're not nutritious. No nutrients.
Me there is I said, oh, PJ said in a film time, man used to have enough girl. Man used to have enough girl. Better man have enough girl, no have enough man. And I put on people picnic. And that was a Chester. That was a Chester, man. And what happened at Chester? I said, in a film time, man used to have enough. Man have said it before we can't call himself. And man have enough girl. They have your run with it. Still want to run with it now. This to run with. You send both and the rest of people and money when the prime minister and the friend. You run with it. You're tough. Donkey DPP. This is run with. This is run with. Look how bad it is. Jamaica can't make baby again. Unless somebody will get conceived. Do get candy, they can't buy food for baby. They can't buy pampers, they can't feed themselves. They appear handicapped where about there. So that's why young people now want to breed. It doesn't make no sense. So in a mash country, I mash up little fan and you see here a tiny picnic like when that picnic get ready. That's the truth. These are the things we look into. We want a better life in Jamaica. We have the resources. We only want good management. Jamaica not short and not in certain things. We just want good management and spreading up across the board. That is it. And I yield back to the panel.
All right.
Oh, you mean Sister Pat? Big up Sister Pat. Love that segment there.
Jamaica, you know work in Jamaica.
Listen, Sister Pat.
Hey, Sister Pat, bad. Sister Pat, come out firing, wheeling the hammer tonight. Sister Pat, beat it till the hammer bend.
So
love that, Sister Pat.
All right.
Byron, I made a mistake. Can I make a 15-second correction, please?
Okay, go ahead.
I said that Nigel Clark was on the board of the FSC, but I meant it's a slip of the tongue. He was on the board of NHT.
NHT, yes, that is correct.
Right. So let me correct that. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Thank you for that. Of course, Jamaics, we have seen as it relates to FSC, right? As it relates to the oversight body for non-banking, right? Had flagged SSL from 2009, 2012, 2016. But however, we have seen now FSC, which is the oversight body, regulatory body for non-banking, now in line with JSE, Jamaica Stock Exchange, the two regulatory body giving SSL with a culture of wrongdoing, breaching all rules and regulation, misappropriation of funds. And here, the two regulatory bodies gave a waiver to SSL to be on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. What say you, Jamaics?
What say me? Nepotism. That's the word that we're looking at. We're looking at incompetence. We're looking at no integrity within our financial sector, and that is bad. The Jamaican people have no confidence investing in their country. That is quite profound, and that is a problem. If nobody believes that it is a problem, I do. I don't know who else do, but I do believe that it is a problem, a huge problem. And I want to say to people, in hard times, there are also great lessons and there are great opportunity. We're in a crisis. We're in an infodemic where we have so much information going around. But with people like Mr. Byron, Mr. Will Rattigan, Melting Pot, Pastor Ricky, and many others, and also I would never leave out Lady Anne, we're able to compartmentalize, we're able to know, contextualize, and we're critical thinkers. So we're saying to the Prime Minister, give us the Kroll report. Let us read it. Somebody said to me that Jamaica needs to change. I said, no, Jamaica is changing right in front of our eyes because we're having more conversations like this than ever before. And to make any change, we must be informed. When we're informed, we're educated, and then we're inspired to make change. So we thank those who are giving us the information. And most imperative, we're getting the source of the information so that we can know that this is credible information. It's not about any mix-up. It's not about any partisan politics, loving a party. It is about holding leaders accountable, just as the Prime Minister said in his own words, that in no one nobody come to him with no foolishness. Hold the people you will elect accountable. So we are out here, Mr. Prime Minister, holding you accountable. And I want to say to the young Jamaicans like myself, I've never voted. I now know why I should vote. I am informed. I'm empowered to make a change in my country. And I'm asking you, are you ready to play your part in a better Jamaica? Remember, a fair business, incompetence within the government structure is going to result into you feeling worse than you ever been in your country in terms of being safe, the hospital healthcare, and I will say it every day. It is a problem that $902 billion. Not only that, $3 trillion unaccounted for, can't find, chop, missing, vamoose. Pick your adjective and apply it. And they will come and tell it's a new system. The accrual system has been in Jamaica from 2004, right? And if it has been here for 2004, it's normally, it takes 5 to 10 years to install. And it is a digital database where you know find credibility in your accounting system, right? And if that is there and it's not used to hold people accountable, why shouldn't we have a problem with it? Why shouldn't we have a problem with it? I have a problem with it. And I'm asking you just the same. We want the Kroll report for say it. We're holding the government accountable. He said that he's going to ensure that people live with their windows and their doors open. The Jamaican people are afraid than ever before. Yeah? They tell us that you'll have fixed election dates. We are now confused, wondering when is the election. You said to us term limit, you said 2 terms, and now you're begging the people for a 3rd term. I don't understand you. It's contrary to what you're speaking. Your actions not matching up with your words. And that's not good. So, welcome to Jamaica, where instead of we respect our athletes or icons, we watch a company take his life savings away. And not just him, regular Jamaican citizens who choose to invest in a company where the taxpayers of the country pay an agency as FSC to ensure that they have integrity, transparency, and accountability in the financial sector. They did not do their job. So Prime Minister, it is an extension of you. The Jamaican people are out here talking about it, and you haven't said anything about it. Mr. Nigel Clark, when you said that the FBI will be here from in January 2023 to do investigation, where is the FBI? Did you lie to Jamaican people? We're asking these questions. And I'm going to close and saying, Jamaicans, this is your last chance to put a stop to corruption and to take a stand. Will you continue to have corruption reign in your country, or will you use your finger and speak to Jamaicans, politicians, and the world that you are not standing with corruption? I say vote, because this is the time for change. Thank you.
Well said, right, and well polished. Melting Pot, you're closing the curtain tonight. Please close us out, right? Go ahead.
Well, I want to go back, and look at certain high point from the interview with the source. And one such high point was like when the high profile accounts were made, they were not privileged to the accounting department personnel. I would ask the question why. Because, I mean, if you're running an investment company, everything should be transparent. It should be like a smooth running conveyor belt where the procedure remains the same. So every account, whether it's high profile, low profile, medium profile, I mean, the accounting department should have knowledge of these accounts.
That's true. That's true.
So we are seeing some very technical issue that was allowed. Yes, that was allowed to manifest itself based on the fact that FSC and the Jamaica Stock Exchange were in, some form of collaboration as to how to fine-tune their machinery rather than to instill the regulatory process that govern these entities. So, in no way, shape, or form, FSC was going to cripple SSL, because there seemed to be some level of connection that does not give it the privilege to collapse SSL. It give it the green light to go ahead and create more damage.
True.
But, that aside, I now want to ask the management team of the various government agency, come and let us know if these hundreds of millions, billions rather, if over 2 billion, yes, over $2 billion, Andrew Holness took from government agency and, let it go in a SSL. Now, when you look at what Andrew Holness did, Andrew Holness was basically manangling the economy and the taxpayers' money. He was managing it, he was manangling it. Do anything that he want without giving any appropriate interview to anybody, any arms, any organization. He has never come out publicly and state that he was taking government agency money and put it in SSL. But I would ask myself the question, why Andrew Holness would find it of his interest to use the Jamaican taxpayers' money to put into SSL, unless Andrew Holness have an agenda that he's working towards. Because NHT money is there to turn over as an investment within its own empire by making houses available for our clients, and you know the source of income will always come back to the NHT from the people's salary package. So that NHT never need to do any investment. And you cannot take the National Health Fund, a critical sector in Jamaica that is crippled to the point where it collapsed. It can't move again. But yet still you have it to invest in a SSL when it's supposed to be invested in the institution. Where are the ambulances? Where are the beds for the hospital? Where are the dialysis machine? Where are the medication? Where are the infrastructure? Because I see some hospital, them crumbling, you know, like breadcrumbs. Ceiling all that, drips all that drop from the ceiling. Window them bend up. And there's still some Tropicare aluminum window. Them the out of fashion. You understand? Yeah? We see people that drop off a chair and lose them life because of ventilation machine not there in the hospital. But yet still it seems like the National Health Fund have so much money that Andrew could find necessary means to take it and invest in a Ponzi scheme where him and him criminal friend them organize. We know Andrew never come back in a politics. Cause you see when him lose to Mama P, when Bruce scheme and him call a snap election and him lose, him go away dejected, you know. Cause the shortest reigning prime minister ever in the history of the country. So him go away dejected and demoralized. And him come back with revenge. Him come back with revenge. I remember the mayor for Mandeville, the late Cecil Charlton, used to have a ass where him name I shall return. Well, when Andrew returned and be a poison and corruption him throw upon Jamaican people, you know, because him did demoralize to lose the election and to have the tag as it. Shortest serving prime minister in the history of the country. Him never like that. So it's when Andrew come back, after the whole heap of PR campaign and the lies campaign and him get the hot seat, that hot seat was to rob the country. Destroy Jamaican people life. Mash up the youth them. Even when him say them is a star, him no make them shine. You know who are shining in our country? The Asian them from India and the Chinese them from down at China. And some more people from Latin American region there and Central America. Them people we see now. And some from even Europe, yeah. Yeah? Where are the local participation? Where it is? Because the local must participate in the development of the country. That is what will keep your dollars in your country. When you have Chinese at work and if you send back the profit where they make back to China for run China economy, which is one of the world's largest economy, alongside the US economy. What that is saying to us as Jamaican, when you have Indians from India, where we see plane load coming in our country via a route that could never be even seen on the aviation chart until it reached our backyard. They couldn't pick it up. But remember, say India have one of the fastest growing economy right now. But a little country like Jamaica have them a work down there. We have to fix that, man. A market J go fix that, man. Because remember, you know, Jamaica have to become nationalized to the people of Jamaica, where they get involved in the micro business for the time being, till them can take on the macro. We're not supposed to have no Chinese and do micro business in our country. Where them are run restaurant and wholesale, them that micro business, you know. If Chinese today are Jamaica, them supposed to bring the big energy company where Andrew Wallace tell about what we can't say all now. Andrew, where the big energy company there? Where treat the people in the election in 2016? Where is the energy company? I remember the emphasis, you know, the big. But me that listen for the name and me can't hear the title of the energy company. Me only hear this big energy company and me don't know none when name so. So me know you are one pathological liar. But because the Jamaican people them now listen to you cleanly, because you have your confederate them there with the bell and the boobies of them. So even if you have 1 and 2 go there for taking the message, them can't hear. Them can't hear, you know. Them I hear some little slang like some Andrew, your big something on there, lumber, all them something there. And your Clark's booty. You understand? So we don't want a Chinese in our place. I take over the micro investment them. Then they belongs to Jamaican. Because we have to nationalize the country now, where Jamaica play a pivotal role in the economy and the development of the country. Done with the foreigners them in our place. Send them back where them come from. And this now have nothing to do with nothing called racism, you know. This is just the fact that Jamaican don't even have work for half of Jamaican. So why are foreigners in our country carrying out micro business investment? That belongs to the Jamaicans. So I know Marky G will roll out the new national program to nationalize Jamaican. You understand? And give the people them what they really deserve. We have to move away from slavery, and not just the word slavery, but the conceptualization of slavery, and move into a new era of wealth and entrepreneurship, where we can now not be the slave, but becomes the employer. So we have to look at Jamaica from that point of view going forward. And I can't talk this because this garbage government can't come back in a power. So me I put the idea out there to nationalize the country now. Because this garbage government I will never see back office now. The 150 years me I give them even can't resurrect. Them can't come back till 150 years pass. Because remember, I know, this garbage leader with them have, they tell the people them if you never know, him is a Dan. Don't take him simple. A whole heap of things him a go on with that Jamaica where you don't know. We are hurt to know. We want to say it happen around on the daily and I wonder why these things are happening. It coming from Andrew Wallace because that was the same way Siaga used to operate. Siaga in that time used to burn on the place them. Regular. Infest the place with gun. Shoot up the place, distribute gun all over. And them arm Jamaica with illegal firearm. I remember them have them own cemetery and them have them own gun armory. Yeah? Because some things were revealed in recent time are shocking revelation. Things like man body are dropping up so much acid from the railway company where they're behind them. Eh? Just melt out like that. We hear them down there smoke and I get high, strip off all them clothes and I go on with sword fighting and karate kicking. You could never believe these men that portray themselves to be dons would become fanatic in their own environment. Because too much cocaine in the place. These are the things where we now have to move towards because remember, you know, Andrew Wallace and the Labour Party can't win, so I can't start roll out my plan. I can't start roll out my idea where Marky G them are going to use going forward. But first and foremost, Jamaica have to nationalize the people in the country. The leader have to get the people them now mobilized. The leader now have to start to make the people them feel that warm sense of importance to them country. A lot of Jamaicans don't see themselves as playing a role in the development of the society because they're not being given the opportunity. Everything being given to foreigners. We have to stop that because you cannot want milk from the cow if you don't feed the cow, you know. You have to feed the cow to get milk. So it's time we start looking after our people in Jamaica. First and foremost, make that be a priority. Because if we don't do that, then we'll be here 20, 30, 40 years continuing the same debate and discussion. We want to see law and order restore. We want the police force to clean up in a way where I think all of them money now should I get the sack. Yeah, you just start sack some police and get some new police to the job and vet them carefully. Because be a criminal we have, you know. We know the good one, them, you know. The majority of criminal police we have. Death squad business when not good for our society. We have some guys who are up in the echelon to the GSF. Them that garbage, them they behind bars. Right now, me can't say the commissioner is fit for the job. The current commissioner is not fit for the post. And the acting commissioner, him running a death squad. How can it be? And the minister of security, he run a gang. Him involved in a money laundering, drug trafficking. So that is telling us something. That the fabric of our security has been tarnished and damaged by this garbage regime. Tarnished and damaged because they are criminals. They're using the cocaine proceed to run the election. And I can tell them that. Because we never see any control damage of these contraband, you know. Never. So we want to know where the cocaine them there. We don't need to, hey, Vaz, if you come tell me, you know. Because remember, you run a whole parish out, you know. Yeah, come tell me. Because we know you have to fly out and come back in with some loot. And you're going to the region where them things, you know, high in quality and stock. So you have a lot to say in a Vaz. Because remember, you name Killer Vaz. I mean, I know a piece of garbage like you find your way in a parliament. After you've been implicated in a strangle, stabbing, and rape case of a little 14-year-old schoolgirl, you shouldn't end up in a politics. Just the fact say that did come cross against your name, disqualify you. Yeah? But we see where Douglas Vaz do for help you. And you can't realize certain allegation where you try to use now. Yeah, it not gonna help you, you know. Because you as a people, you know, I play political witch hunt, but you wasn't a politician at the time, you was a little piss and tail boy. About 19, 18, something about that. Yeah? And you know want to bring this thing as a political spin doctor. You can't spin that. You wasn't a politician, your father, Douglas Vaz. Nobody know who you was. Why them never call nobody else's name? Eh? Why them would have picked on you and call your name in that killing? And you stop your life same time in Jamaica. And then you know I'm place it for a little innocent man. You understand? But God was on shorty side. Yeah? So you have a lot to answer to, you know. As we are say Portland people, get him and the carpet out of the place. Get the piece of Killer Vaz and the carpet out of Portland. Portland deserve better than them two couple here, than this couple here. Them are criminal. And Jamaica time when you get rid of Andrew and Juliet is another criminal couple that are the worst couple up of Beverly Hills. But one with them no shame with the big house for them rob half up there. You see everybody I laugh after no disgrace Beverly Hills. Beverly Hills citizens them run with the whole in this them from up there.
All right.
Wanna bring ghettoism come up at the people and place and mash up Beverly Hills.
All right,
Criminal couple.
Yes,
all right, sir.
Because you understand
Well,
if you have to work tomorrow.
well, you want me know it can't write pan a note there, no. It can't write this up. But we just have to make the people them know and understand, say.
Yeah.
Them people here, we have to get rid of them. Yeah.
All right.
Because them not offer not name love to the society, you know. Marky G's slogan is the word is love. We could run with that for the time being.
Right.
Yeah, man. So we just want enough love and respect to everyone tuning in, and more so to the panel tonight. Big up yourself, Sir Ratty, Pastor Ricky,
Yeah, man.
General Byron, and great lady and the technical director. And Jamaics, enough respect, same way.
Yeah, well said, Melton. But a lot.
Comrade Leader Mark Dolan, please call a fast 7-day fasting and prayer for Jamaica.
All right. Ratty, any final thing? Sorry about that, Pastor Ricky, to just cut in like that.
Okay.
Any final thing before we go?
No, you know, as a man, that's it. I cannot improve upon anything that has been said. So we'll just
all right.
Yeah.
All right. So,
hey, Ratty, man, you cool off too much there in the hot seat, you know, Ratty.
Okay, all right. Go ahead on.
Okay, so welcome Rafe One to our membership. Thank you so much for joining the membership, the additional support. And also thank you to everyone who did a contribution of super chat or super sticker. Really appreciate that, and thank you so very much.
All right, so there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, people in the diaspora locally. We are so much thankful for you to come out and support and be a part of the revelation of the truth, right? What we speak, right? We are speaking in terms of engage with good governance. And let me, before I go out, we are saying to all the electorates, please be aware of this information and make sure that you put the X beside the head. And East Portland, remember, ISAT BUCHANAN is the man. And remember, stay focused. ISAT BUCHANAN put education front and center. No weed or about in your hand. Education.
And no starfish.
Blessings.
And Doreen, West Portland to Doreen. Amen.
All right, there you go. There you have it.
Remember, the 31st is the end of remuneration. So those who have not enumerated yet to vote, please make sure you go and register.
Thank you for that.
And the nearest remuneration office to where you live, and make sure that you are able to vote on election day. The 31st is the deadline, so please go out and remunerate.
Thank you, Ratty. Bless up. Melton Pot. Pastor Ricky.
Respect.
Thank you.
God bless.
All right.
Why, Ryan?